Welcome to the Austin Summit. Fuck yeah. All right, baby. We got a professional microphone. We're not fucking around here. No more fucking around. All right. So I thank you, everybody, individually for coming. Like everybody, I'm thinking about everybody for making this happen. You know, Alex for everything in San Francisco, keeping things rocking. 2 summits up there. 3? Did we do 3 or 3?
We definitely kind of did our own little.
We did a lot of
our own.
private summits. Yeah.
A couple of us hanging out.
Private summits, yeah. And everybody who came, everybody who flew in, everybody drove in, and everybody who believed in this thing. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's like I was just thinking about it last night. I was like, fuck, I just was talking to everybody, and I was just like blown away by you guys, by the things that you guys bring when you come here. You know, it's just like, it just fucking blows my mind. Because I've been part of other groups. I've seen other things, you know. And I just am so disappointed, always. And I've always been like, God, it's not the way to be. You should fucking be honest. You should be sharing. You should be helping, right? You know, and I think it's still going. I hope it's still going.
Careful there.
Yeah, I tried the power button on the left there.
Careful.
It's teetering on the corner.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. We're good.
It's teetering on the edge of madness.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. All right, yeah. So, you know, I've seen other models. I've seen other ways, and I never felt it was right. You know what I mean? I tried to put out what I thought people should do together, what men need, right? And it's like, I honestly, I go to other groups, and it's just fucking depressing, you guys. I don't know if you guys been. They're depressing, man. It's like a hierarchy, man. It's like you're doing something that you should be getting paid for. It's like a boring career job, like a corporate job. So if you're not getting paid, it's called a men's group. Like, you know, and it's like, I'm just like, fuck, you know, nobody's sharing, nobody's honest. And I come here and it's just like, I hear like real shit going on every time. And I hear real progress. And tomorrow we're going to have, Chime is going to talk about his journey. And it's going to be a lot about progress and things he's learned, right? So it's not like one thing, you know, like, you know, I came here, I got pumped up, and I left, right? It's about journey, right? It's about changing, right? That's what it's all about. It's like anything happens here tonight, like you just get up and scream, like, if it needs to happen. Like, no, that's fucking wrong. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is going on here, right? What the fuck is going on with you? You know, I know a lot of you guys have been here for a while, right? So where are you now? Right? That's kind of the intro. For the guys that are first time, you know, like, share honestly. Who are you, right? Where the fuck do you come from? Why are you here? And any kind of thing will help people to... No one can help you if they don't know you, right? The only way is if you share honestly. You know, I've had so many people come to Summit, and they'll go to the first meeting, they'll pass the mic, they won't talk, and then afterwards, they'll always say the same thing. Because I let them. If you want to pass, that's up to you. This is going your own way, right? It's totally that. But every time, they're like, fuck, the whole weekend, I just didn't trust you guys. I didn't believe in it, and by the end, I made the biggest mistake because nobody knew me, and it started to get traction. I say, you know, just take advantage. There's so much wisdom here, so many smart guys. Like, it's unbelievable, right? So share honestly. Where are you coming from, right? So we're gonna pass around this. I don't know if we should pass the mic or you guys should come here. We could, like, everybody could change seats or whatever. What do you guys think?
Whoever wants to use the mic.
Oh
just
yeah,
sit right there.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got the
That one doesn't make too much noise when you get in and out of it, so use that one.
All right, doesn't matter. Yeah, no, good. Okay, so we'll stand right here, and we'll pass the mic. And who's going to go first? Yeah. Oh, okay, we'll go in a circle. Yeah. You want to go first? All right. Just talk into the mic, and this is a very high quality mic, so you can talk. There's 2 settings, okay, on this mic. On the back slide, see that 2 buttons? That's to let everybody talk. So it catches all the sound. This is for only you. So right now it's far away, it'll be real quiet. Okay, so you want to talk right into it, like a professional mic that it is. And then when you want to record everybody screaming or something, then you hit the other button, right, to go to the right side. Okay, so let's go one at a time. Oops. There you go, Dale.
The green is pointed towards you.
Yeah, you're all good, baby.
Hey there, this is Dale, and I was at the summit last year. It's nice to come back, actually less than a year later, And I like what you said about where you're at and progress. And just to tell you a little about my journey, like the last year, I indicated some stuff on Telegram, but I swear to God, for me, coming to Austin last year was so great. Right now, it literally feels, with everything that's been going on with me, it feels like that was 2 years ago. I would swear it was 2 years ago. That's what it feels like. And, since then, I've gotten out of a long-term relationship, and that's really what I wanted to share in my first Austin Summit, what I was struggling with, and I really got some clarity around that. Been struggling with a job, renegotiated it, and left on my own terms. And it's like preventing me from my next chapter. I'm deep into exploring some different ways to generate passive income. I joined an investment group. I moved out of Charleston. I'm selling my car. And I've had like a whole bunch of family stuff going on with a death in the family, and now like making sure that my mom is straight, and I'm taking a leadership role in my family. And we're fortunate enough to run a charitable foundation, and I'm going to take a leadership role in that. And I'm literally just, designing my new life. And I'm looking at Tampa, St. Pete. I'm looking at Austin, Texas, and I'm here to look at these places and see if there's a fit. And that's all amongst a backdrop of what I see is going on in this country. And, there certainly seems to be some concerns. And, I think for a long time I had that dream of a single family home and a mortgage and a job. And, it's important to question all those things. And, recently I've been talking to a lot of people about real estate and investments. And it's something that I have to be careful with because, if you're talking with some people and, there's an old expression, it's like, if you're not sure who the mark is, you're the mark. And that basically means that, there are plenty of people who, if you have some money to invest, they're glad to take it from you. And real estate is kind of the wild, wild west, particularly the areas I'm looking at. So what I'm looking at for myself is creating this path for myself, redefining it. And the word that I often go to is discernment, to figure out and design my own path. And I've got a little bit of capital to deploy that I've pulled out of the stock market. So trying to make good choices. And that's where I'm at.
I was just going to say, like, you look like we were saying last night, you look like a different person. Like when I saw you last time, I don't know how to say this, but when somebody has a large face, it's like it's bloated or something, like just a large face. Some people,
Yeah.
It's like you had a big face, and like come now, you're like slim, and you look like a different guy.
Yes.
I mean, your pictures on Telegram, I literally didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
And then I saw the name, which is an unusual spelling, and I'm like, wait, that's, and then you came in, and I'm like, it's not just a picture. You look like a different person. What happened?
Yeah.
In one fucking year, what happened?
Yeah. So one of the things that I started doing, and I probably started watching your videos in 2018, 2019, started to absorb them. And one of the first things that I did, because I did know that it was important not just to watch a YouTube and to think about something and say that's an interesting concept, but to take action. And like, it's very easy for me to have a busy job and think about all these things and think about it. And it's like you end up just browsing. And I mean, life is short. I'm not that young. And it's like, I don't have time for just browsing. So taking action is super important. So one of the first things that I did was, it was just that video of you like preparing food, preparing it simply, clean food. Doesn't matter what the presentation is, just get it done. And so like probably 3 times a week, I'm doing a big, like almost half-pound bowl of just sauteed vegetables with ginger, garlic, turmeric. And that really helps me out. And I've been focused on clean food, and historically my weight's gone up and down, and I don't drink anymore. And, some of this has been motivated by some of my dad's health struggles. So it's pretty good to see where he was and say, I need to work so that doesn't happen to me. But over the last 5 years, I've kind of gone up and down with that. And I feel like now I have a program that's working pretty well for me, and actually there's still plenty of more tweaks and plenty of more understanding to figure out.
I think I'm just going to say too, I think you've got a different presence along with the physical. You look in the eye longer, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
At least I feel it. I really feel it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more in the present moment. And, for those of you who are in a job and stressed out and struggling with energy and frustrated in general, like you can't always be in the moment. So it's a lot easier to be in the moment if you quit your job. But, obviously you need to figure out whether that's something that you really want to do. And of course, the best thing to do is to have a plan before you just quit your job. But I'm able to do that right now. But yeah, I have, as part of my discovery, I am like switched on, and I am looking for opportunities, and I'm saying, how much can I cram into a day? And when I talk with people, it's like everybody has something to add, and it's almost like there's like the law of attraction, and Abraham Hicks, which I read a little bit about. And it's like, you can go through a day and not bring out anything from other people, or you can be kind of attracting things and conversations, and things are coming at you because you're ready for it. And, that sounds a little mystical, and I don't really care to explain why that is, because I don't know. But I feel like I'm attracting more in my life, and I'm open to a whole bunch of stuff.
Cool. All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Woo. All right, and by the way, you guys, so if you're in the beginning of the journey, like everybody here started with a brutal share. Just FYI, that's how it started. It doesn't start with a success. So let's you know what I mean. Like wherever you're coming from, that's the place, and everybody gets the juice from that because we all came from that, right? You know what I mean. But it's fucking great to see that. It's amazing. All right, who's next?
Yo, my name is JB, and I'm fucking bald. I'm wearing a wig right now.
Whoa, no kidding. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm fucking bald. Yeah, like level 4. Like kind of like, yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, so, fuck it. I'm bald. I'm JB. Yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
That's a very good.
Okay, so.
Yeah, no, keep going.
Keep talking,
Yeah, so, a lot of girls, they're the one that helped me out with this. They just teach it to me because I wingman them at clubs and stuff. It's like, yo, Jay, we'll take care of you, It's like, all right, yeah. So that's how I get this. Yeah, but
You mean the wig?
yeah, the wig,
Yeah,
and the two the girls helped me out. Yeah. So.
Right. I know you were here in Austin before, right? We talked a lot and everything.
Oh yeah.
And that's a year
Okay,
ago.
so I think the best way to start is I'm shaking right now. I'm fucking scared, So, okay. I have issues with communication, and then I'll talk more about that tomorrow. So, just long story short, I think the best way to have a real introduction, because before, my first summit, it was at Austin. I'm like, I just showing up, supporting everyone. I was giving Ronin man a massage, taking care of him and stuff. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So if I'm gonna do an intro all over again, I think I'm gonna do it right. So the first way to do an introduction is I really want to thank Ronin man, because year 2018, 2019, right? I almost killed myself, Like we can talk more about that tomorrow. But yeah, so he actually saved my life twice. The first one is like through suicide, and then the second one is like shooting my fiance, cause I was ex-military. I had my rifle and my plate and my pistol right in my bed. You know, I'm like the military dudes, right? Cause that's gonna make us feel safe, right? But I wasn't able to use that. You know, like this girl just abused the shit out of me. You know, I have no idea. Like, I know self-defense. You know, I know like all that stuff. I know how to shoot jujitsu, but when it comes to like a narcissist girls, I'm like fucking weak and what is that word, like enfeeble? Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea why, you know? And so like that's where I'm coming from, you know. And then with the help of Ronin, man, you know, like I'm going through my childhood right now, you know, like I use mushrooms and stuff to like go really deep, you know. And I found out that I was abused by by my father when I was a kid, you know, and I also got molested, you know. Yeah, and then I didn't even know until the magic mushrooms like kicked in. So now that I know where I'm coming from and what's wrong with me, and like I really have like I have a direction, you know, like what to do. Yeah, so because in my mind at that time, she looked like my dad, you know. And then as soon as I was ready to reach on my pistol, right? Like I heard his voice, you know. He said, "Jay, call the police," you know, because like during that time, you know, like around 2019, I got addicted to, you know, to your content. Like I listened to you, you know, like whole day, whole night, you know, like because it really helped me out. It prevented me from becoming suicidal. Like I felt like I have hope. I have key, you know, like. There's hope. Yeah, so I heard his voice. He said, you know, call the police and stuff, and which I did, you know. And then like that prevented me from like shooting her and then me going to jail, you know. So he saved my life twice.
Can't really hug you here, but.
Oh, I pressed something.
It's all good.
Yeah, I pressed this one. Okay. So I think that's the way I really want to do my introduction, you know, and that's why I'm here. Yeah. What's his name? Yeah.
One of the new guys do it.
All right, here you go.
All right.
I think make the green side face you. There you go.
Yep. Okay. Well, this is my first Ronin Summit. My name's Steve. I'm up here from Alaska. Been listening to his show for a while. My background is I was a 40-year-old virgin. Never had sex for a long time. I was raised in a very strict religious family. My mom used to chase any woman off that was interested in me. And that was a real challenge. And like JB, I was suicidal for a while. I had one bad night where I went out to the bar at this one girl's birthday party that I was really interested in. 3 guys made out with her. She said she's interested in me. She almost left with one of the other guys. Went home that night, and I was thinking, well, that was the only woman out there for me. Cocked a .45, held it to my head, ask God or anyone else, just give me a sign not to do it, and nothing, blank silence, and then just a flash of some images of my family, friends being sad if I'd done it. Put the gun down, and that was pretty difficult to pick myself up after that. And so I started learning more about dating. My family also has a history of type 2 diabetics. So I was pre-diabetic about a few years ago, 70 pounds more. Then I learned nutrition, exercise, how to eat properly, and lost all that weight. Still got a few more pounds to go, but at least I'm pretty close. I'm no longer pre-diabetic. Trying to go out there and meet new friends, new challenges. Just like everyone here, you're trying to test your edge as a man. I mean, I did 14 days of fasting just on water and black coffee to see if I could do it. Climbed a tower without any food, almost passed out and killed myself, which was really dumb at work. Should have never done that. I just wanted to be my best self, and part of being my best self is pushing myself. And if I can't test my edges, then how's someone else going to trust me? I won't know what my limits are, What can I do? What are there things that I can learn from others? I guess there's a lot, and I guess I could just talk and explain as I go, but I want to be as open, as honest as I can, and not try to monopolize this. Everyone's got their own challenges that we're working on. My main one right now would probably be dating. I got a lot of book theory, and I've talked to like Bank, JB, Alex, and a few others in here, and even Ronan. And Ronan said, you don't know how close you are to the edge of greatness. He said, you just got to put it in action. And that's part of what I'm here to do, is talk to the guys that have the field experience and make a move. But hopefully that's a good enough introduction for now. And tonight.
Yeah, you came from Alaska. Right?
Yeah, Alaska.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be open, honest, give it a shot, a little bit of vulnerability. And like you said, if you don't share anything, you're not going to get anything out of this. Thanks, man. Thanks, JB. All right.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Here you go, Scott. Thanks.
All right.
Well, thrilled to be here. I met Ronan maybe 10 or more years ago. Did some consulting when he was putting together his multi-million-dollar Remax deal in Shanghai, was it?
Yeah.
That's when we met. And I never thought he'd stop talking. And I'm really happy about that because, I needed to hear a lot of the things he was saying. I think he needed to hear a lot of the things that I was saying. He needed some validation about the deal that he was putting together. It was such a big deal. And I had real estate experience, so I was able to help him, and that's how we became friends. My wife loves you.
Oh, she's awesome.
Talk there? Okay. Yeah, I've been married 43 years, so I'm different than most of you guys, I guess. And the reason my marriage works is because I have as much freedom as any of you guys in the room. My wife has always given me that. I think because she recognizes that not one woman can provide all the things that a man needs. She also understands that she's a woman and her needs are taken care of. I think that's one of the most interesting things about women is women want their needs taken care of, and once that's done, they pretty much want to leave you alone. They want to take care of you, as my wife does, take care of the house, take care of all the things so that I can be successful and continue to provide her with the lifestyle that she wants. And we have a great friendship, and we're almost inseparable. So, she knows what this group is all about, and she loves that I came up here and I'm hanging with you guys, and whatever happens, happens, right? Hopefully, who knows? Maybe there'd be some pussy involved. You would just never know. However, I wanted to go a little bit deeper in terms of like what I've discovered about my life. I've had an incredibly successful life, okay? And it's designed by me. And it's always been like that. Even back in high school. I went to my 40th class reunion a few years ago. And I realized I went out with only the best looking chicks, only the most popular girls, because I didn't want to go out with anybody else. I never dated anybody except my wife, but I went out on dates. And that, from a really young age, set me up for success in every other thing that I've done, because if you're fearless approaching girls in junior high and high school, that's the scariest fucking thing a man can do, is approach a woman, cold. And so I forced myself to do it. And I believe that is the thing that propelled me throughout my life to have the success that I've had. One of the things...
It gave you confidence,
Yeah, confidence that, I make the decisions. I don't look to others to decide what I'm capable of or what what my limitations are. And when it came to pretty girls, that was it. I mean, I just looked at my life as a teenager, and I thought, what is the most dangerous thing I can do? Like go up to Laura Gildemaster or Christy Mitchell and ask them out on a date. And I had just moved to Ponchatoula, Louisiana from Germany. I grew up there. I was completely different than everybody else. I didn't have a clue what baseball or football, any of that shit was. In Germany, we played soccer, and I swam, and I did gymnastics. So I'm 65 now. I'll be 65 on the 24th of this month. And I was thinking about, what is the biggest lesson that I've learned? Because I've always been very impatient. I've always, tried to move shit along too fast. And if something doesn't work, like in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, I abandon it, go to something else. And so I think for that reason, the success that I've achieved is 1/100th of what I have in me to achieve. And fortunately, I've stayed in really good health. So I think I've got at least 50 more years left in me. So I feel like I'm just getting started because I made this incredible discovery. And when I tell you what this is, you guys are all going to think, yeah, like we all know that dude. But you don't, okay? Because you have to really get into it and understand it. So what I discovered was, because I've rushed things, I've always felt, even as a young boy, that time was running out on me. And so I've always tried to do a whole bunch of different things because time was always running out. And we know that time is the singular thing that we can't buy, we don't have enough of, we can't get more of. Everything else we can find, we can earn, we can steal, we can grab, we can get it. But time, nobody can do that, no matter how much money you have. So the thing that I just recently sort of discovered in myself was, the only thing that I have missed and skipped in my life is laser focus, because I've been all over the place. I've done a lot of things successfully. I've failed miserably at some things, but the laser focus is the single thing that I have missed in this whole formula of life and being successful. So that's been my life's objective, is to be successful, financially successful, stinking rich, okay, as I like to call it. And I have been, and then I've lost it, and then I have been, and I've lost it. And recently, 3 years ago, I started a fund called the Rhino Fund. And it was immediately successful. Almost in 2 weeks, I brought in $3.5 million. I had a great organization. I had a great plan. I had what I thought was a great partner. And 2 years into it, we're making killer money. I'm making like $50,000 a month. And my wife and I decide, okay, let's just wrap everything up here in Austin, get rid of the house, get rid of everything we own just about, and go on the road. So Europe was really difficult at the time because COVID had just started, so we went to Panama. And Panama sucked. So after 6 months, we came back here. And I had lost my income. Didn't have, a house to go back to because we got rid of the house. So a friend of mine loaned me his house in San Antonio, and I got laser focused. And it was like a religious experience, the laser focus, Paul, because once I did that, it was magical. It's like, no, I was kicking people out of my life. I was kicking out friends who didn't serve me, friends who just used my time and sucked my energy. I didn't need them anymore. Family members who did the same thing. Vampires, exactly. Just getting rid of all of that. Getting rid of porn. That was big for me, okay, out of my life. Doesn't mean I don't jerk off, but porn, you know, like addicted kind of thing. I was almost like on the edge with that crap. I spent too much time with that. And other things that were time wasters. So all of a sudden, like at my ripe old age, I became laser focused. And in 6 months, you know, I was watching a video, it might have been one of yours, and one of the things that they say is there are 5 things you don't do. Don't, you know, lie. Don't tell people how much you make, you know, those kinds of things. So I'm not going to talk about specifics. But in 6 months, I have achieved what in the past has taken me years to achieve in terms of success, finances, and so forth. And it's all on my drive up here from San Antonio. I was just thinking about how, you know, what a great message. I wish I could somehow, like through osmosis, press that into everybody, because the way I'm expressing it right now, I don't think is accurate enough or deep enough or articulated well enough for you to get it. But if you meditate on that, there is no time. But that doesn't mean rush things. It means actually slow down. Slow down, identify the things that are important, and then just focus like a laser beam on those things. Shut out every other distraction and go for it. And I guarantee it. I almost guarantee it. Like, if it happens the way it happened for me, it was that thing, that singular thing that did it for me again. And I've risen from the ashes, Paul, after total destruction. I can't wait to talk to you more intimately about it. But if that's the one thing, yeah, time. We're running out. If I'm the oldest guy here, fucking cool, man. I'm happy to be with a bunch of young guys, lots of energy. I feel the vibe. I smell the body heat, you know, the perspiration, that manly shit that I don't get around much, you know. But I don't eat soy either, so I don't have any femininity to me either. So I'm good. I'm safe with my wife and safe here with you guys, and I'm really happy that I came, and I'm happy to be with you. I'm happy you have me.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, cool. Hey everyone, it's Chime time here. Let's see. I got a talk tomorrow about my evolution, so today I'm going to talk about just my introduction, like where I'm kind of at right now, and like what were the talking points?
Just basically whatever's going on that should be brought to the group in your current state, right? You know, like humble. What's going on right now?
What's going on right now? So what's going on right now is that I'm talking from like a very successful area, a very place of success. Last year, I was offered a high-level position. You know, there's been some jokes that I'm a G-man. That may or may not be true, you know, on YouTube, but outside of here, it's absolutely true. And it's been a very stressful process. I was like a contractor at one point, and now I'm like legit. I'm on the inside. I was given this job offer. It like, in some ways, in many ways, derailed my life. Was I ready for it? It's everything I've been practicing for. But it's a lot of work. And the same work that you have to do to make any kind of progress in your life. Sometimes there's things that you have to commit to and you don't really have a choice, or like a opportunity will present itself and it's like, I've got to commit everything to this opportunity. And that's where I'm at right now, you know, with this job offer. And I've had to renegotiate my life. You know, I am Chime Time, the travel extraordinaire. I found that was kind of difficult. Like I went to Mexico City with some of the guys recently. I think in, was that November? Yeah. Like flew in to Thanksgiving Day. I like got off a plane, was picked up by my family, went straight to the meal. But in that experience, I realized like, hey, I can't really be who I was before. You know, I'm adjusting to this new job. I got to give myself a year to slow down and like learn some new stuff. So I've been dealing with a lot of like, not necessarily persona change, but just change in life. And I'm super grateful and thankful that I've done the preparation to create an adaptive version of myself to handle this. And even if my life has changed, it's been cool. It's whatever. It's almost like behind me, even if I'm in the midst of it. Some other things that are kind of fun is that, like, I decided, I'm going to be staying in New York City a little bit more. Let me redo my kitchen. Let me not just surround myself with anything that bothers me. That kitchen was super run down. Like, we had the summit there. And people who were there will note that the cabinet doors were missing. Paul lived with me for a little while. Even when I was traveling around, sometimes the place would be vacant. VCT tile was coming up. Like, everything was just ugly about this kitchen. And same thing with my bathroom. That was a hard time. So I was like, let me start with the kitchen. Let me renovate this thing. I set a lot of time. In my past life, I was an architect, so I knew I'm really overqualified to do the design, make the purchases. I was getting subcontractors and everything. Set $10,000 aside for that. I'm spending money. I took a $20,000 pay cut recently for this new position. So, that's like, $30,000 right there. And in the midst of this, my hot water heater and boiler went, and that was like another $10,000. So I'm like $40,000 in the hole. And even with the challenges of this new job and, these financials, and I'm kind of like running a little bit on empty, I was like, we're still good. Car's not dead yet. Like, we got enough steam to make it to the gas station. And that's, again, I couldn't do it without Paul, with the guidance that I had, the time that I took to follow Ronin Man. Like, if I didn't have that success or make those right decisions, if I didn't put in the work, if I didn't go to 7 summits, 7.5, because I did show up to the Southern California after party. Like, if I didn't make these decisions, I couldn't be thanking myself right now. I couldn't be thanking Paul again and again. Like, some of us are thanking Paul for like the first time, for the first few times. I've been thanking Paul the whole time I've known him.
In big ways. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Like, I said this at my very first summit, like, individually we are Ronin, but in these summits we are Ronin together. There's so much power. Yeah, the 40. We're at that level, the 47 Ronin level. And, and I still have stuff that I'm coming to grips with. Like, I dated girls, like, here and there. I was married at one point, like I talked about that at my first summit. And where I'm at is that, like, I'm over the open relationships or like the, the polyamory or stuff like that. Like, Scott does have something really well together. Definitely follow that, man. But like, what I was doing was going about it the wrong way. There was like long distance, like, there was things that I was doing that were different than Scott's doing, and likely why it wasn't working for me. But I've realized that I can't even like go on a date with a girl unless I practically love her. Like, I just won't let any kind of waste of time, into my life anymore. And I know now so much more about what I was looking for. And, that's what I'm struggling with now is the next chapter. The next challenge is just like, find the right one, make it happen, see where it goes. And I'm still figuring out what's next, but I'm prepared for whatever that next is. And that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Where does the hairdo fit in with this program you're on?
Like, it's just being my natural self. Like, another code word, maybe plant medicine. But I'm being my natural self.
Cool. So what's going on, guys? I'm Curtis. I'm from Virginia Beach. Me and Ronan, we interacted because I've been watching probably since like 2017, 2018, and I thought I had a pretty good grip on stuff. I guess to give you a backstory. So I grew up with single mom. She was pretty much a narcissist, like whatever you want to call, just insane. And I didn't really realize that at the time. Didn't meet my dad till I was like 13. So once I met him, I kind of got the opportunity to start seeing like what it was like to be a little bit normal and stuff like that. And then I realized that, I had some issues from growing up with my mom. So I started taking martial arts, started doing all this stuff. And I was improving a lot. Everything I did, like I couldn't really talk to women that much. I went to become like a doorman and a bouncer. I used like my martial arts as like a way to, improve my whole entire self. But then as I kept going on, I found that like there would be spots where I wouldn't say it's like a self-destructive tendency, but I have a tendency to do things that aren't in my best interest, and I didn't really know why. And then I went off to college to try and figure that shit out. Still couldn't figure it out. Still kind of trying to figure out to the day. Went to the Army. Still really couldn't kind of figure it out because I thought it was just like a chasing the dragon type thing. But I've done things that I feel like, like I've jumped out of planes in the Army, went to, other countries, did all that stuff, fought in cages, done all that stuff. And I don't really feel like there's something that, like, if I catch myself at a downtime, that I'm super vulnerable to just, best I can describe it as dumb shit. Like, women trying to fuck with you, money situations, stuff like that. So, as I've grown older, I've kind of realized that my dad necessarily doesn't have the best experience. So I'm trying to supplement that with guys that, are like-minded, like me. And as I've grown older too, that's very hard to find, especially in like my neck of the woods. My dudes are either married or they're losers, stuff like that. They don't have the time to do anything. So I don't know. I just like to listen to Ronan talk pretty much. And that's basically it. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. What up, everybody? I'm your co-host with Mr. Skye. I am Mr. Rye for those who actually read the YouTube comments. And you guys are actually the guys who read comments because you came here. So that means like you've been involved in the discussion. You've digested a lot of his contents, Ronin's lectures. So yeah, and that being said, I'm one of those. So I've been listening to Ronin for years, probably one of his earliest subs. I met Ronin in Bangkok one time. He took me on one of his dates where he just drags people doing errands all day. And we went to like the Thai administration building, took like the private buses, immigration. It was so sick. Yeah, it was actually really cool. And whatnot. So yeah, so we go way back. Ronan's helped me out a lot over the years. He's kind of give me a lot of social pointers and kind of helped me reignite aspects of myself and lit a fire under my ass a few times. So yeah, I've done Unblackmailable with him. For those who haven't done it, it's really a gold mine. The calls that you do with him, you make breakthroughs. And when you come to the summits, you meet like-minded individuals, like dudes who are actually doing shit, right? So, I'm for those who don't know my background, like I'm blessed and I've had just the most crazy life in the sense that like I was born if you played Cyberpunk, I've done all three classes. I've done Corpo, I've done Street Rat, and I've done Nomad. Those three classes, right? So, anyhow, just like I literally I started from the underclass, and now I'm like working my way up to like upper middle class. In terms of of my skill set. The tech world. I make pretty good money, and it's allowed me to travel the world a dozen plus times. On my free time, and I was brought up by just amazing people, scum, horrible people, just like all spectrums. And I was a mental sponge. I absorbed all that shit. And it took like decades to wring out the bad stuff, but the good stuff, the good shit sticks. And I believe another writer wrote that. But it's true. So anyhow, last year I was at the summit. I was looking for a change, looking for a way out. And I think I found it in a sense that I met up with a couple of guys. They kind of kicked me in the ass to come to Austin. I visited a couple more times here. Mr. Skye, opened the house to me. And I came down, and, we linked up, a couple of guys here. We have the crew. We had a mini summit in Mexico City, a few months back. And now I've hit the ground running. So, over the past few months, I kind of lost my winter weight. Went back to my hometown, ended my drought there, kind of cleared my head, and just been working on projects and just kind of refining all my skills. Whether that's cooking, whether that's singing, whether that's my tech game, trying to get the high level on the architect side, and my meditation and especially with swimming and things like that. So you're the sum of the 5 people closest to you. So if you're around like shitty people who are always like fucking dragging you down, like you have to ask yourself is like, can that node be replaced? And if it's replaced, is that circuit, going to complete? And are you going to, run, optimal? And that's the way I look at it, So I hope you guys, can connect with some of the nodes here and, just step it up in general. So a few of you guys, who know me and been around me, maybe you've seen the change, maybe you haven't, but regardless, I feel like I feel like there's change, and I look around and I see there's change, and a lot of the many who I've known over the couple of years, that you guys are you're taking hits, but you keep on, trucking along, and that's you galvanize and just like you push forward. That's what men do, and that's not what we know. What I'm not. I don't see that a lot, outside of this group and in general, like it's hard for us, to kind of strive, and hit the mark all the time, because there's so many obstacles in our path, society, whatever you call it, a lot of shit. But yeah, anyways, I just want to say, it's thanks for coming down, everybody. We're gonna have an awesome time this weekend. I've been working on my pickup and my game in general, so let's go. I want to open up some sets, get critiqued, and let's do it. Let's rock on, man.
Okay.
Hey, I just want to say thank you for working overtime. Like he has a job, like he's doing remote, while at the same time he's being a good host. Like I always see him like helping out, doing nonstop. Like he's taking care of everyone. So we really appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Totally. Yeah. All right, who's next? Come on up. All right. I think I know this guy.
Hey, this is Micah. I don't even know what to say. This is my 3rd summit, and things are going really well for me. I was hoping my brother was going to come with me. I think he would really benefit from this, and I told him I'd pay half. I felt like he needed to have a little bit of skin in the game, but he's not here. So, but I guess I've been having some issues with my sister and brother, just not, I guess, doing much with their life, and me trying to be the opposite, and it's kind of a sad thing. But they're on their path, I guess. But as far as me, like I'm welding, and I see an end to that coming up soon. And I'm getting ready to move this year. Not quite sure where, but plan on either Arkansas or maybe Texas or maybe North Carolina. I don't know. But some of my weekends I'm traveling around, checking out, seeing different places around. But I've just noticed as far as a change, like the San Francisco Summit was awesome, part 2 that I went to. And since then I've just been working hard and eating and working out good, and just I've noticed a change in my mindset. Like I know things in the world are a little bit kind of crazy right now, but like I'm kind of like in a different reality in some ways. Like I'm just kind of doing my thing, and life's really good. I've noticed I'm happier, and I don't know if I have much else to say, but I'm happy to be here with all these cool guys and reconnect.
I got one thing to say. Like, what's interesting, I think, guys who don't know you, right?
Yeah.
Is that you're in a very small place, small town, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's a challenge, right? You're not in San Francisco. You're not in LA. You're not in London. Around a lot of, people, smart guys and everything. It's like, it's a little harder, right?
Yeah.
And I see you really navigating it well, and that's interesting. How does that, any comment on that?
As far as being in like a small town, it's like I kind of feel like I'm a lone wolf in a way. Like I don't have a lot of friends around. My family closest is an hour and a half, so I kind of do a lot of stuff solo. So these things are really cool because I actually get that guy energy. Like my closest friends are in Dallas, which is like 3.5 hours. So, but yeah, it's tough. Podcasts help. And then just staying busy. Not having a lot of spare time. Just I'm always doing stuff on the weekends, working, fixing up my truck, doing other stuff, and so. But oh yeah, I'm selling my other truck, fixing to buy a shipping container, and working on this mushroom company and brainstorming on that. So there's another thing that's kind of in the back project. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah.
All right. Thank you, Skye and Rye, for having us. I just want to say thank you for putting all this together, Paul. And how fucking lucky are we to all be here together? And I know that I feel very grateful to be here in a space where I feel comfortable enough to tell you guys about my life and my experiences and share that wisdom with you guys and get a lot of wisdom out of you guys, because at the end of the day, I really don't know shit. So my background, I was raised by a single mom. I was a pretty fat kid. I wanted the validation from women very badly growing up. I wanted it from my mom, my sister, and then also girls when I became that age to start liking them. So what did I do with my life? Right after high school, I joined the Marine Corps, and I did that for about 8.5 years. Had an amazing experience with that. Had an amazing experience having that brotherly love, with guys that I was serving with, and getting that wisdom from those guys. So I found MGTOW around 2017, and I found Ronan around 2019, right when I was getting out. And that was the biggest change in my life when I was getting out, because I really thought that I was going to be in the military forever. But why did I leave? And why did I get attracted to Ronin? And that's because to be Ronin is to be free in this life. And when I was in the Marine Corps, I did not feel free. My whole life I didn't feel free, from the public school system to then working for the government. And then, now you're getting out, you're trying to figure it out. I found Ronin, and I started working for Federal Fire after that. And I thought it would be different. I'm a civilian, I'm free, right? But it was still a federal job. It was still something that I had to go back to, and it was just the same thing over again. I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, why the fuck am I even here? Just to breathe air and make money and eat food. I don't know, and find a girl, and that in itself is slavery. Finding your message, Paul, was very beneficial to my life for sure, and gaining the confidence to follow my dreams and say, you know what, fuck this bullshit. I'm getting the fuck out of here. So that's what I did. I quit at 10 o'clock at night, told my chief, I was like, hey, I'm done. He's like, what? He's like, going home sick? And I was like, nah, I'm done. Grabbed my shit and left. He's like, well, he said, well, if you want to come back, you always have a job, but fuck that, burn the ships, man. I was like, cool, I'm gonna use my GI Bill, go to school, and I started doing that, and whatever higher power you guys believe in, I happen to believe in God, and he had a plan for me, and my best friend's cousin owns a business. Well, I started work for him just to get some experience, and he asked me to be his partner. So now I'm like owning this business a couple months after I quit my job, and a couple months after that, my other partner, or my other friend that owned a supplement business as well, asked me to be his partner for that. So it's been a crazy ride after I'd made that decision to be free and really just live my life to the fullest. So now I own 2 companies right now, and I quit college. That was another ball and chain for me. I was like, fuck this. So I'm just going to keep doing that kind of shit and keep following my dreams and being around people that want to be successful and that think like me, really, because there's really not many people that think like us that can really think outside the box and be leaders, because everyone's kind of fucking scared pussies. I don't know how else to put it, but thank you for everything that you've taught me in all the videos and taught everybody here. I look around and I see a bunch of leaders and guys that aren't scared to follow their dreams, and I'm just very happy to be here. So thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say something. Just thinking about what you said, the way you quit, right? And I think the people misunderstand freedom because they think, well, he wants to be free, right? That means, they come up with all these meanings, right? To me, it's really simple. It sounds like exactly what you're talking about. I'll just see if you agree. But like I signed up, this is just an example, but I signed up to take a master's degree, right? So it was to teach English as a second language. So I signed up for the course, and they had an extension in Tokyo. So when I got there the first day, I looked around the room and I said, you guys are just getting this bullshit degree just to get a job, right? Because in Tokyo, if you had a master's, you could be a college professor, and I kind of was, but to be a full, long story, I could have been a little more secure, right? It would have been like a lifetime job. I needed a master's degree. And so everybody's like, yeah, and the other one guy said, my wife wants me to make more money. Everybody was honest. So like 3 months later, we're in the course and everybody's like talking. And I said, so you guys told me that you joined this just to get money. You told me, you just said it for your wife. And everybody's like, no, I did it because I believe in teaching this, every bullshit, every fucking thing. And I thought, that's how it is. It starts out as real, people are honest, and then they buy into their own bullshit. And that's the rest of their life. And I just took my books. I said, anybody can have these books. I'm quitting. I'm going to become a businessman. And that was when I went to be a headhunter. And it was just it was so clear to me. So it wasn't that I wanted freedom, as I realized I was falling into a bullshit forever trap that was not what I thought it was when I started, right? But when I saw that, so it's like as you find things and then you went into the Marine Corps and then you saw it wasn't what you wanted. It wasn't that you wanted freedom. It's that it's so simple. It's just honest. Everybody else doesn't want it either. Once they realize it's bullshit, they just stick in there. That's what people do. They know it's fucking bullshit. And they make a commitment for the rest of their life into that bullshit. And it's like, for me, it's like, if it was cool, I would have done it. I'm not against getting a master's. That's fine. But when I realized everybody was full of shit in it, we weren't really going to, you know what I mean? We weren't going to change the world. There was nothing going to happen. And it was just another, check the box. Now you make more money. Now it's easier for you. And the last thing I need is easier for me. I need harder for me, right? That's the only way I get anything done. And it needs to be forced on me, right? That's how I get shit done. That's how you got your company, right? It's like it was forced on you, right? So that's what I see. It's not the desire for freedom. It's just you see things that are stupid and you're like, I don't want to be stupid. No, thank you. And then what are you going to do? I don't know. Because you don't know. And that's the thing. That's the muscle. That's it. It's so simple. And then you got nothing and you got to fucking do it. And all of a sudden you got to reach down inside yourself and you got to figure shit out. And it's hard and it's scary. And even when you do, you might find you don't want that. Because I did that probably 10 times in my life. And that's what really gets frustrating to people that aren't you. But, what happens is every time, I believe, in fact, I'm sure, every time that I found something out, the only way I could find it out was getting into it. You had to join the Marine Corps to know what it is. You know what I mean? Each thing you have to get in because you can't just watch people from the outside because you don't know for sure. And then you get in and then you say, fuck, And so from the outside, people say, what are you talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like, don't accept the bullshit. When it's there, just say, God damn it. And then you'll realize so much shit is bullshit. So many people are living shitty lives. It's so simple right there. And they instead of walking away, they double down. It's that simple. And that is the difference between, people that kick ass and don't. And I don't mean kick ass just necessarily in money, but in their lives. That's why people are dead. Most of the people I know my age, they're fucking dead. Scott could tell you more. People are fucking walking zombies after 30. Most people. Truth. No more hope. No more hope. That's it, man. It's done. Man, when I was in high school, my football jacket, man, that was a good times. I had one guy tell me, and he said, the best time of my whole life was with you in junior high, you know. And I was like, holy shit. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. I was thinking, you know, and it was sad. He ended up killing himself, actually, that guy. You know, but it was like, that it's all around you, man. I just don't want it. I don't understand why people put up with it. You know, why the fuck? Would you ever go back? All right.
Skye here. Thanks everybody for coming. I really wanted this to be like the best summit, and I feel like, I mean, I always want that for any summit for sure, but I just feel like this group of people is really, really, like, if I could handpick, like, everybody here would like be here. So many amazing people that I've met through this, and it's because of this. For me, Paul, your message was something that I just connected with intuitively, but it was like you were further ahead, and I was like, I know I want to go in this direction. And then when I found out about the summits, initially it was like I was still not free at all, and it was like, oh, Bangkok, like it might as well have been on Mars. But then it happened in Austin, and I was in Austin, and it was like, holy shit. And then and I met a lot of you guys there. I also wanted to thank Roger, because I was in this roommate situation here in this house that was not that good, and it ended up getting worse over time. And then I found Roger, who's like like-minded, and it's been very good. And he's like a brother now. He's like part of the family. He didn't have his own family growing up, really. So he's like part of my family now. And yeah. And I really mean that. And just being in this, I always wanted to be in a house where people were not. I grew up in a house where I felt a lot like I couldn't really be myself, because when I would be myself sometimes, I was kind of maybe a little bit of a quirky kid, and one of my siblings would really use that against me to make me feel bad about different things that I did in kind of a sneaky way, which really hurt my confidence, you know, and it really hurt my social skills, right? And anyway, before I go further on that, I wanted to say thank you for Paul, because like the more I see, the more I'm like, fuck, what you are doing is so amazing. And because it's not just difficult to do. Sorry? Yeah, everybody, but I want to say especially you, since you started this. Like, I have to give the credit there, of course, for everybody that is on this journey together with us. But because we are not crabs in a bucket, that whatever it is, that metaphor is so true. There's so many crabs in a bucket that one crab tries to leave and they just want to pull them down. And people here want to grow, and they want other people to grow with us, and that takes not just, you know, a perseverance or a skill or whatever, but also like a goodness to want to bring other people up, and it's such a rewarding feeling too. So thank you to you, Paul, and for everybody for not being crabs in a bucket. It's like amazing. A little bit about my journey. I was not always. I definitely was not socially successful for like. Mostly for the duration of like up through high school, and then really like one moment in my life where it was just like, oh man, was actually in college this one year. I was living with it was 4 of us roommates, and we all had our own rooms in like a suite, and nobody knew I was in mine. And this guy came in, and like one of my roommates brought in this guy who was a friend. It was a guy from Southern California, very socially, you know, skilled type of guy. And they started talking about me. And he was like, oh, the socially awkward one. And I was like, it's just like crushing. It's like basically that people are saying like, this guy is an idiot. Like, people might think you might be smart in any area, but like if people say like you're not socially, like if you're socially awkward, you're basically an idiot in their eyes. And I was like, I do not want to do this. And that's why I think this whole trend of like helping with social skills and building that is so important, because you just need experience. and then you start to build that experience. And then at the last summit, actually, I had a couple breakthroughs. We were doing some plant medicine, and thanks to Mr. Alex, and I had this breakthrough of like basically just be confident in everything you do, which is so key to, you know, to this social intelligence stuff. But it also was one of the things that was holding me back, because I want to push limit. I'm a limit pusher. I want to like figure out what the different like puzzle, like basically what the different Lego pieces are, and then I want to see what I can build, you know, like what can I do with what the resources I have. So I have to understand where the boundaries are, and one of the biggest boundaries holding us back is that confidence. And I'm not like anywhere near where I can be, and I think all of us, we have this, you know, where we can go, but I've definitely come a while since I came to Austin a couple of years ago, and I've been on the upward trend, and I want to continue and see that happen, and I want to learn from everybody here, because it's everybody here, like JB, like sharing some of these things, and really everybody, it's like to be able to be vulnerable is so confident. You have to be so confident to do that. So I have a lot of respect for that, and also learning, like people here have an incredible wealth of knowledge, so I'm just excited to learn. I think I might have pressed this. Hopefully that.
Okay. Okay. All right. We're kind of in an intermission here. Guys are showing affection. Not from behind.
No. Never from behind. Hey guys, this is Sean. Let's see. How should I start this? Well, a lot of you guys are familiar with, you know, all the stuff that I've gone through throughout my life or whatever. But the main thing, So the main thing that I'm focused on now is that now that I have the keys, right? Now that because that was something I wasn't able to articulate at the last summit. People said, well, how did you improve so fast? But I watched one of your videos, I rewatched it, and it was like how to have friends and build meaningful relationships or something like that. And in it, you said, people who don't have social skills, they really don't like people. And in the video, you said, just take a piece of paper and just write down, like, how do you feel about people? Are people intelligent? Are people trustworthy? You know, how do people react? What are people like? And I remember I did that probably maybe it was a while back. And I realized, like, yeah, I really hated people. Really didn't like them. I like really didn't like people. Like I really thought people were just like, their hobbies were stupid. They were stupid. They like their focus was wrong. They like they were just mean spirited. You know, they were just like nasty and small and like dangerous. People were dangerous, very dangerous to be around. Like especially large groups of people. Like one person you could handle, but like more than one person, there was like an element of danger to that, and people could snap on you like very quickly and like attack you, right? And so I don't feel that way anymore, right? But I realized like it really was all just like you said, all the stuff in my head, right? Because obviously people are not like that, right? But I felt that way, and I don't feel that way anymore, right? People are like opportunities for me now.
Yeah. I want to say, you know, I kind of figured that out. It was like a total real one of the. I think to me it was like just a awakening. Is I was talking to somebody and I realized the person was saying that they didn't, and it wasn't, it was somebody else, somebody in Bangkok. They were saying they didn't have social skills, and I realized they were being dishonest. They actually don't like people, and that's why the other people feel it and don't get along with them and treat them badly. And I was like, all of a sudden it just dawned on me. And then I said it in that video, and then you said it. And, you know, it's the same thing as like, I remember this guy came up to me, one of my friends, and he said, I can't pick up a girl. I can't pick up a girl. How do I do that? So I taught him how to do it. He did it successfully once. And then he told me, hey, look, the truth is I'm gay. He goes, and the reason why is I never wanted girls. And so that's the thing. A lot of times we're trying to do stuff that we don't want or we don't like. It's easy to say that you're no good, right? It's hard to say that I don't like you. Because if I say that, I'm taking responsibility for, my thing. I'm creating my own problems, right? We create our own problems. That's how it is. And people say that, they don't understand what it means. It's actually, you're putting out the vibe. And it's the same thing. If you don't like, for example, if you don't like women, they are going to feel it. You're creating all these problems in your life. And it's so dumb because people don't want that. How do you feel? Someone says, I don't like your race. How do you feel about that? He just like really stops things, right? It just puts a brake on everything. Like I used to have in Europe in the old days when I used to go there, they'd say, I don't like Americans. And it was like, fuck, I didn't know what to say. I was like, sometimes they'd say, but you're good. It's like, but that's just fake. It's like I knew they just didn't like me. And there was going to be a matter of time. And because I saw it a million times, they would say that, I would feel that. And then I knew they weren't going to like me, just eventually, because they had already decided that. So a lot of it's of our own making. So when you accept that and you realize you're creating the problem, like when you treat people good, then they treat you good. And it's like really hard I think a lot of people, they have difficulty changing because it means accepting that they're not perfect or right. And so it's like the decision is, do you want to improve? Do you want to get over the thing, right? Or do you want to cover up your own side? It's like, so when you do it, it's amazing what can happen. Because then when you just say, hey, I got this thing, because there's probably a reason for it. We could even go back and why. I'm sure there's a good reason for that. But that's another thing, working on that. It's usually not even your fault at the core, actually. But when you realize that whatever reason, you've taken it on. You lived in a high crime area, now you rip people off, right? You took it on, right? And then you say, okay, well, how would people feel about that, right? They wouldn't like it, right? So that's the thing. I saw in that video, I was like, I talked to a lot of people. It wasn't just that one guy. And he just was screaming at me because everybody was a victim. I can't get along with people. And I just realized, oh my God, I started telling people this. And you know how many people contacted me about that video? A lot. All introverts. Everybody was like, no one ever said that. I hate people. But then I said, well, was there anybody ever nice to you? And they're like, yeah, there was people nice. They'd start talking about it. And then I would say, well, why do you hate people? Was that person nice? Was that person? Well, that person was nice. Yeah, that person was nice. Well, that person was nice. And then they started to see themselves and build. So it's like one realization changes everything. So it's like so cool when you're able to accept that and then just move past it. I'm not saying it's the only reason to be an introvert. But I'll tell you something. The response from that part of that video was amazing. All in private. There's a few public comments, but a lot of it was in private. People were like, oh my God, you're right. Like I've always not liked people. And I was just like, yeah, because I've always liked people, even though I had some people in my life that, I just always was pretty good. And then people were nice. I couldn't figure out why, you know what I mean? It was a conflict. I couldn't understand. And then I started hearing it. First, I was feeling sorry, all these victims, all these victims. And a lot of times we're a victim of our fucking self, right?
That was something from meeting you, I noticed that Paul kind of likes everybody. And I was like, is he faking it? How is that possible? How could you like everybody? Because I like hardly anybody. Like, what are the odds? You know what I mean? Like, makes no sense. I know he's not lying. So what's going on? So yeah, that was, but that's all stuff in the past. But
no, that's a good topic. I think you can. I mean, I'll think about the answer to that one, but I think the thing is that
I feel that way now.
They are our brothers. Like, I think the best way, my first answer is, like, I can have a dog sleeping next to me, right? And he's just sitting there, and he's just sleeping and breathing, and it just feels good to have him there. The dog, right? Presence. Yeah, it's another intelligent being sleeping there, the dog, and I just can feel, like I can't feel that with a rock, but I can feel it with a dog because he's alive. And, you know, just having that, even especially when he's sleeping, then it's easy for me to realize these things, like just next to me. And I'm like, that feels good, you know. And I realize like it's nice to have another living thing, right? And so I think I kind of like, I appreciate other living things. So I don't, just like there are other people, and it's just like we are all kind of trying to figure things out, and we're all like, but it's like there's just other people, you know, and it's like they have value, you know. Think of a dog. That's the best way to start. Think with animals. Learn to touch women by touching a cat, you know, and learn to appreciate people by looking at a dog sleeping, you know. Just think, you know, does he have to be just there? And just think how you feel about it. Just look at him, just, you know what I mean? It's another living thing. Right?
I don't want to harp on this too much, but yeah, that's very interesting because like I did not like the presence of other people near me. Like I didn't like that they made noises. Like the noises that they made were offensive, and like the body heat coming off of another person was like irritating, like sweltering. And I especially hated animals. Really didn't like animals, like at all, just for no reason. I don't know. But the point is that I feel the complete opposite now. Like you said, I enjoy like if Rye was sitting next to me, even if we weren't talking, it would still be more enjoyable. You know what I mean? Even if I wasn't necessarily looking at him, it would just be more enjoyable just being around another person. Or like the way I see people is they're kind of like gold mines. You know, like there's this person, there's an opportunity, there might be some really cool stuff in there. I need to go talk to this person, right? And like, you know, hunt around there. What do you like? What do you do? You know, like what kind of things are you into? So I don't know. It's just interesting to like have flipped so quickly.
There was a Snoopy cartoon about that.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like him just sitting there not talking. I'll see if I can find it.
I've seen that one. Yeah, I've seen that one. I know what you're talking about with Snoopy and Woodstock. Yeah. So, but anyway, so all that stuff's kind of in the past. But that's the main thing, and that's the thing I'm developing. I'm still getting over the fact that I can go out in public, right? And if I see somebody, like a guy that I think is interesting, I can just start talking to him. Like I used to kind of think that was illegal. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't really allowed. Like there's a guy, you can't just like start talking to him out. Like you're not allowed to, like, you know, if somebody's in line, hey, how's it going? Like that was like you do not do that under any circumstances. Like that's almost how you get like stabbed or like shot was my perception, right? And if you did that, they would look at you like you had two heads. Yeah. Like I felt like if I was in line with you and I go, hey, how's it going? You go, what? Like, the hell? Just talking to me out of nowhere? The fuck? Right? That's how I felt the reactions would be. But, you know, everything's the complete opposite now. So as I'm developing those social skills, you know, that's kind of like an ongoing thing, and I've already got the main ideas for that, and at this point it's just experience, you know, like you said. But now what I'm focused on is lots of little changes, little tweaks, right? Because there's 1,000 little things that separate, you know, somebody like me from somebody who's like, wow, that guy's really cool. You know what I mean? So something like I used to sleep on the left side of my body all the time, right? And it warped my eardrum, and it warped like part of my nose and like part of my face. It did a lot of like damage to my body. And so I would like sniff constantly. In that video, the $1 billion deal thing, I re-listened to it. I couldn't even watch it, right? Because I just heard my nose constantly, and I was like, how can somebody stand to hear this voice? This is so annoying. So I started sleeping with tape on my mouth, and I started breathing exclusively out of my nose, and I started, you know, doing Flonase and stuff, and now I don't do it. Like I can actually, there's a hole in my nose like that opened up, and now I can breathe out of it, which is insane. And like I used to get really close to people. Like this was comfortable space. This feels really weird now. Like I don't want to be here. I want to be back here, right? And you told me, you said, Sean, you are way too tall to be this close to another person, right? Because if I'm here, like, what do you have to do? How uncomfortable is this, right? It's annoying, right? And somebody like me who overheats, who has like big overheating problem, I need to be farther away from somebody or else I'm uncomfortable. And that's part of the issue. But part of it was like my left ear couldn't hear anything, right? Like very little. And that's because it was just getting crushed. And so now that I sleep on my right and my back and stuff, it's opened back up and I can hear a lot better. Like noises that I used to play all the time are like very loud and annoying now. And I can put a, what's it called? Earplugs? I can put an earplug in my left ear now. Like the whole, like it used to like point up and be crushed. Now it's like moved. So all these slight changes in my body, very interesting. But it's all those little tweaks that I have to do to be more, like there's, you know, the being social aspect, right? But if my presence is offensive or there's things that I'm doing that are offensive, people won't want to hang out with me, right? So it's important for me to change those. It's important for me to take the nose out of my voice, right? To try to talk at the right timbre, to not do every 3 seconds. That's annoying. You know, to, let's see what else. Just a thousand little changes. I didn't dress very well, and people would kind of treat me a certain way. And so I took your advice, did all the color palettes and seasons and all that, and figured out, I looked at a bunch of style guides, and I looked up people that I thought were attractive and how they dress. And I went clothes shopping with my brother, and he was able to go, okay, that looks like shit. And I remember I was in Vegas with my brother, like pretty shortly after the last summit. And I was like, well, what's something I can do to improve? And he looked at me and he goes, you got to stop dressing like shit. Like you dress like shit constantly. Yeah. He said, you dress like shit constantly. And he goes, I don't even know why you do that. Cause you have money now. You can like buy clothing. You don't have to do that. You don't have to get what your mom gives you. You know? And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Right. I stopped shopping at Walmart, you know, and then I actually like started, my brother went with me and he's like, that looks good. That looks bad. And now I know, you know, I'm 6'3", you know, for people who can't see me. So obviously like this is going to look a little unproportional when I'm walking around. It's better to have a nice long sleeve. And now that I'm able to breathe through my nose, I don't have that overheating problem so much. So now I can wear long clothing without like, you know, almost passing out, right? Like a sweltering, like a stuck pig. You know what I mean? Things like getting more water and things like just doing all the little things that it took to be more comfortable. Like if I was here, it's pretty hot in this room right now. So I would be really uncomfortable and it would come across in my behavior. It would make me be short in people. It would make me like move extra out of the way when Chime Time walked past, and that would be offensive to him to like, well, he just like recoiled, like that's weird. But I didn't have to do that, right? Because you know what I mean?
I was thinking about something you said. I really, it's very heavy actually. You said, because one of the things in sales that I learned is that when I would go up and approach somebody, and then when I was young, you know, like 19, and then they would not want to buy from me, right? And I would tell my manager, you know, I'd say, well, he doesn't have any money, or he doesn't want to buy anything, and then he would just look at me, you know, Dave Starks, and then he would walk over there, and then the guy would leave with $3,500 in stereo equipment, and I was like, yeah, but he just told me he doesn't want to buy anything today, you know. And then I'd be pissed off, you know, in my mind. You know, I was like pissed off that I looked dumb because I just said it. If I wouldn't have said it. And it's the same thing when I started doing, like actually trying to learn how to, I knew how to be natural with girls, but I wanted to kind of like get a cognitive understanding of it after I saw the pickup industry. You know, I was already doing it. It was no problem. But I was like, I want to learn what they know so I can explain it or something. You know, I even thought about making a pickup company for like Asia. You know, I was like thinking about things, and I was, you know, seriously planning that. So I thought, well, I better be able to explain stuff. So I started talking to the guys, and then I would go up and approach, and I would have a bad, you know, response. And then again, I had the same thought, is like, oh man, bitch, you know, whatever. I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it, but I thought it. And then another guy would be like, because the thing with pickup artists is they are just like sales guys, and they know the lies you're telling. They told them themselves. And the guys that succeeded, they overcame it. So they would go up and have a good response, start making out with her. And it was like, you know, why? Right? And I had this look at myself with, that's what people don't do, is they go up to somebody, right? You get a bad reaction, and you just say, him, no good. Her, no good, right? But you never look, who am I? Like, what am I doing? How am I standing? How am I dressing? How am I talking? You know, it could be even a really small thing. Like I got one friend, he cannot hear anybody eat with their mouth open, or it drives him absolutely insane. Like he just cannot, he like almost vomits. He just can't. And I went home, and after I heard, you know, I was talking to him, I went back to my family, and everybody eats with their mouth open. I was like, no, you know, because we love food, like my family, we eat good food. And I've always thought that eating sensually, like I'll be sitting on the side of the road just eating vegetables, and girls will come up and talk to me. And I've picked up tons of girls just eating. Because I love to eat. I'm like a man with an appetite. I appreciate food. And I like to lick things and eat things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like to eat and I like to smell things, you know. You know, I got appetite for stuff. And so when the girls see that, like if you are somebody who's eating like a sloppy Joe with like a fork or something, girls know you're a bad lover right away, you know. It's because they know that you don't have any sensual attitude towards food. So you can't have it towards sex. It's directly connected, right? So like, but either way, so I realized like from the outside, how you're looked at affects people's response. And so, you know, with anything, sales, whatever, and what you're saying is that when you wanted to up your game since the last summit, which was only a few months ago, you heard the nose thing, you saw the comments, and then you said, maybe I can change that. Because you said in that video, you said, this has been since birth, it's a defect. You basically said, I can't change it. And I defended you in one of the comments below. I said, he has a birth, you know, he can't. And then the guy said, oh, sorry. You know, and like, it's so interesting now because a lot of things are like that. We make up excuses. We give ourselves that thing. We don't look at ourselves. We get a bad response. And then we berate them for saying anything. And then as long as they buy it, we just go on. Right? But it's so important to have that sense of wonder and humility that you just think, well, I don't care. I just want to move forward anyway. I think you have that. You're just like, I don't care. I'm wrong again. That's fine. You know, but I want to fix this fucking thing. I don't like the sound. You know, like now you're aware of it. You know, I was aware of the mouth open thing, right? You know, at the same time as I know some people don't care, right? So it is by case, but be aware of how you are. So if you think you're bad at with people here at the summit, where are you standing? Are you standing at the door looking out by yourself? Where are you? What are you doing that's making something happen? How are you overpowering people? Are you part of the game? You know, like sometimes I don't have anything to say at all, actually. Like in the car to get Mexican food, I don't think I said a single word. You guys were all talking and I thought, I don't have anything to say. I'm just listening. And it was great, you know? So, you know, so that's the thing is like, it's like, how are you being? And there's always more to learn, right? It's not that you're bad. It's not that you're not addicted to self-help. It's just that you got fucked up things that you want to fix, but you haven't seen them yet. And me too. I got the exact same attitude. The mouth thing, eating, when my friend told me that, I was just like, fuck. I couldn't believe it. Something I totally didn't know, right? Is I eat with my mouth open too much, you know, especially like crispy things, right? You know, and I noticed that. I was like, I got to learn to be aware that some people really, really don't like that. And at the same time, I got to say, is that I'm very proud of the way I eat because I love the sensuality of it. And I cannot tell you how many girls I fuck is the way I eat. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Like, and I realize it was some girls will tell me, I just make food just to watch you eat. You know, I love to watch you eat. Yeah. They love to watch me eat. No, it's with an appetite. Like I enjoy it. You know, I fucking like eating, you know.
The truth is that I do have a birth defect where my nose is like almost all the way blocked off on my left. But it doesn't matter because I can do enough work to breathe through it. And so it doesn't matter that it's deviant. Like because I could say, oh, well, you know, it's this, it's clogged. It is, but I can overcome it. It's enough, right? Where I can breathe out of it. And in such a short amount of time too, I just had no idea. Wow. You know, yeah. But
surgeries for it too. Deviated septum surgery is very common. I've got it done myself.
Right, but I'm not at that point. I just don't need.
Roger has a drill.
I don't need that. I don't need that. So, okay. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say one more thing. But one of the main reasons I'm here And one of the things I appreciated on my Las Vegas trip with my brother is that I told him, like, a lot of people will say, oh, criticize me. I can take criticism. I'm open to it. I want it. And then they're not. And I think that's why, even though I'll tell people I'm open to criticism, please criticize me, they don't do it. I am not like that at all. And you can attest to that. I love criticism. I enjoy it, like, a lot. Like, when you were like, I think you're autistic, I was like, oh, finally, thank God, like, somebody's actually fucking going in. You know, like because I like in my personal life, I like roasting people. I roast hard, and I'm always begging someone to just roast me. I enjoy being roasted. I like people critiquing. It's high value feedback that you can't get anywhere else. So if you guys see me doing weird shit, please let me know so that I'm not doing it, you know, anywhere else. And so, like, because otherwise I have to like wait for people to like bring it up, like the nose thing. I had to like. Eventually somebody's like, it sounds like he does a lot of coke. And I'm like, oh, time to fix it. Okay, so please tell me, and you can be as, you know, it can be as big as possible. So,
Blinking your eyes all the time?
yeah. That's the thing. I don't know how to stop that. My sister does it like crazy.
I can talk to you about that because I used to do it too.
Oh, hell yeah. See? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it is a tick. I just blink hard is the main thing. I'm always like that.
It's an eye muscle thing. So like there's long gaze and there's short gaze, right? So I learned a long time when I used to play in a real tournament, like a competitive level, like way back on Voodoo graphic cards. When you're playing like 60 frames, 100 frames per second, you can't fucking blink. So I learned to keep my eyes like wide open. And so there was a time where I would forget to blink, and people were like, you don't blink, you're unhuman. You know, and I'm like, oh, I have the blink, remember? So like I had the inverse, right? So now what it is like I moisturize and I there's like a mechanism. It's okay, time to blink. And so like I try to like 1 or 2 every couple minutes, whatever. So yeah, so you may try to have to do the same thing. So it's a timing thing. Yeah.
Dude, there is a whole discussion about eyes because, you know, I can sit across the room. And so many times I've basically seduced a woman across the room just by looking at her because it's like a certain look, a certain way at a certain time, and she knows you're communicating with her big time, right? So eyes are really like, there's a lot there, not just getting over that, but there's like using your eyes properly. You know, it's like amazing. You can be in a group. I can be in a group like talking to 5,000 people, I have, and then you can look at one girl, and then like I'm flirting with her the whole fucking time. Like nobody else knows, but I'm flirting with her big time. And she knows it. She'll come backstage smiling. And it's just like, you can just do it. It's just like, it's easy. It's you're using your eyes. Your eyes are powerful. Your touch is powerful, your voice, and your eyes, right? So it's like learning what they mean, what they are, how to use them, what's normal, what's uncomfortable, and all that stuff. So there's a lot there, actually. Yeah. All right, who's next?
Just really quick, it's chime time. Maybe I'm roasting you, maybe I'm not.
Oh, no, please.
But you really got to love yourself before you can learn to love others. And you need to learn how to love others before you can be loved by them too. And it's not just like love, you know, like you could say love all you want, but it's learning how to love and knowing what to love. So you need to know everything about yourself, you know, like love those areas that need loving. And you'll learn when you've lifted that burden, or you have more strength to lift other burdens, to love others, because it can be a burden. It can be a challenge. It can be a struggle. And when people see that you can love them, they will love you.
Paul, can I say something about the eyes?
Come in. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Scott here. So when I was a kid in Germany, I had surgery on my eyelids because my eyelids were drooping and they were giving me headaches. So they cut out a little bit of my eyelids, and that was back in the mid-'60s. So, you know, plastic surgery wasn't what it was. Well, it wasn't what it is now. And the kids called me Knopfauge, which is button eye. So I grew up with a little bit of a stigma from being Knopfauge. And I was aware when I look at myself in the mirror, they fucked it all up. I mean, one eye is this way and the other one is that way. And I didn't like that about me, and I thought that it would turn people off. And what I discovered, the most amazing thing is, it was one of the things that girls on a regular basis told me that is something that attracted them to me. It was unusual. And so they were trying. So something that I thought was ugly, other people thought was either attractive or interesting or an opportunity to approach and get closer and learn about what, caused that defect or whatever. And so, that's when I, like that, what did Chime just say about loving yourself? That was another big thing for me growing up, was when I realized I'm really special. If only to myself. I am a really special, unique human being. I knew that I was different because I'm probably the worst case of dyslexia that you'll ever encounter. I was never good in school, but my IQ is 157. So how does that fucking work? Okay. But I was able to understand the way I was thinking about myself, and the eyes were a really big factor. I was able to identify it at a young age. I always daydreamed and looked at birds flying out the window. I didn't study. My eyes were a problem until I almost immediately, even while I still had stitches, realized that, wait a minute, something interesting is happening here. I think it's ugly because it's supposed to be, because I look in the mirror and I see ugly, but everybody else is going, like, calling me names and approaching me and wanting to know what happened. So it became almost like a little superpower. So it's a really cool way to, like, find those things that you do. Like, even your blinking. Like, I used to shake my head like that all the time. I knew I was doing it. And then I'd twitch the eyes too. And I'll tell you, my secret, okay, you got yours. My secret is awareness. When you are aware that you're doing it, you stop doing it. Just be aware. I'm fixing to do it, and just don't. It's like when you want to stop a hiccup, you focus on it and wait for the next motherfucker to come until it never comes. Oh, yeah. It's the same strategy.
Okay. When I was young, I was working at the stereo store, and like the district manager, Moshe, he came up to me and he said, "Don't do the fake yawn. Why are you yawning?" And when I got nervous, I would do this fake yawn, and I was like so embarrassed that he said it, It was like talking to customer, fake yawn, no. He was an English speaker, I was like, God dang it. Yeah, because me and my brother both did it, growing up, It was normal in some tumbleweed town, Wasn't cool in Southern California. All right, who's next? Let's rock and roll.
I guess we're all sharing our eye strategy stories. Start with that, I guess. Yeah, actually, I remember this is I was referred to as Agent Smith on other recordings before. So, actually, I have a funny story about. I also had a thing with my eyes, but my issue was that I would I could basically not blink that much, but hold gaze too long. That was my issue. And then one time this was many years ago, I hired some coach, and it was just more like kind of like a life coach type of thing. And I was kind of trying different things. And he brought that up to me one time. And he's just like, yeah, you're like, it's too intense. You just like, you're holding it too long. And I was like, what? And it was totally just felt normal and natural for me to just look at something and just keep looking at it, And so I had to train myself. I started noticing other eye patterns, and actually just watched different eye patterns, and then just kind of just was like, oh yeah, it's just you're holding the gaze and you look away, and actually I had to train myself to do that, to have a more natural, hold an eye gaze for a little bit and then break away and jump around and stuff like that. But before, I would be like, just lock onto one person. I'll be just like, yeah, hey, and just keep talking like this. It's like, okay, too intense. I had to learn to not do that. But I practiced it enough to eventually just became automatic. And now it's funny. It's until this conversation came up. I haven't thought about that in years, actually. But it just it's funny. I was like, whoa, there's a few people that have had challenges in that department and had to just kind of reprogram themselves to occur as more natural, with everyone else, and everyone's not like, oh, okay, this is weird, too much or too little. It's like in so many things in life, it's all about, finding what the right balance is, and not doing too much, too little. But often that's how you find the edges, right? Doing too much or too little. Anyways, so back to where I am at. Well, I would say, the first summit I went to was back in Japan, back in 2019. I was still pretty fresh out of just like kind of still recovering from the marriage that failed, and just like really struggling through that, and seeing a therapist once a week and all this shit, trying to just survive, get out of that state. And definitely finding Ronin really helped me tremendously, kind of helped sort through all this stuff that I had, this old paradigm, as they say, blue-pilled paradigm kind of thing, that it just completely failed, like massively. Like everything that I thought was true was like lies kind of thing. And the marriage just really amplified that to an extreme degree that I was not prepared for. And so it just really shattered me, I would say, so the first year was definitely just don't die was like my strategy for year one after it all ended, just just be alive at the end of the year. That was my main strategy, because I was just like, entire paradigm of so much was just completely just shattered, and I don't even know what to make of anything. So that's kind of where I'd been before, and I've kind of covered that a little bit before. And so now I realized that I had a lot of things blew up back then that I've been kind of dragging along with me ever since. I was working up, I was like building up, doing all this contractor type work and handyman work, and I was like, things were really coming together as the marriage was happening. But then when that whole thing blew up, it was just like part of me just gave up, and was just and so a lot of stuff just fell by the wayside. And so now I think the last few years have just been like licking my own wounds kind of thing, and just trying to just recover and recuperate. And now I'm feeling like I'm entering in a state now where I've been in this state of not fully going for any particular thing, because it was all just about like trying to recover and rebuild and restructure my own internal reality of how I deal with things, and definitely a big one has been, dealing with, relationship with like my mom, and, and then like, 'cause she died last year, and I've had some huge breakthroughs since then, because that was a very codependent, smothering type of relationship. She was like, it was very difficult, she was too much, and so that really skewed my whole. And I had a conversation with a good friend of mine that he was just like, that's really fucked up if your first most important relationship with a woman, with your mom, is like one of like built on can't really trust, that really sets you up for things being really fucked up in general, with relationships with women. And so I think that's something that had been struggling with a lot. And that's part of what caused me to walk straight into the marriage, with complete all blinders on. Because it's like I kept wanting to hope it to be a turn out some magical way, and everything was the exact opposite, but in the last year since my mom's passing, I've had a couple of really major breakthroughs of just getting back to a more natural version of myself, that like the version of me that might have been had I not had all the trauma, and so that's what I'm in the process of. And now I've just kind of been doing all the work that I've been doing, all this handyman work and stuff like that, but then getting involved with, these summits, and, I definitely gaining more and more of the value of being a part of this community. And, I was just talking to Chime earlier, and he's kind of doing these readings. I love his readings, the numbers. I'm like, I'm a 6 of diamonds. So, and he's reminded me about how important my sense of community is for like grounding myself. And I was like, fuck. I realized that so much of the career that I'd been doing up until this point was like very not grounded at all. Like there was no real community. It was just me lone wolfing it everywhere. And that was part of why I didn't seem to really make any real progress in my life. And I was kind of just drifting a bit. But then I'd like really gain so much when I'd be plugged into certain groups, and like this one, you know, I just get so much out of it, but then it's when it's over, then it was like back to my just drifting from one random install job. Like I'm just good at coming up with solutions and knowing how to figure out shit, you know, just get thrown into random situations and I just come up with something, you know. It's like, so I'm good at that, but then it's not beneficial for me long term. And yeah, I realize, and so like startup mentality, you know, like I realized that there's definitely an attraction to that. And so I just like that kind of model where it's like I want to build something with some other people, you know, and not just going it solo. I realized that going solo it's not been working, you know, and I've been at it for a while and it's not working. I mean, it's keeping me just in a holding pattern. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's been a holding pattern and like, but I've been going through my own personal healing, you know, and like one of the things that one of my friends brought up before was, you know, some guys have like, you can fall into have like a creeper vibe at times if you suddenly get kind of obsessive of something, you know, or like, and I know there's plenty of guys that I know that have fallen into that trap before. And I think for me, it was more of it got conditioned with the relationship they had with my mom, and where then she could get a little too smothering obsessive. And then I noticed, and then so one of my friends pointed that out, and it was kind of freaked me out when he first mentioned it. But then there was a couple of situations where then I fell into that, and then I looked at it and I was like, fuck, I can't believe. And so that was something that I was just like really struggling to like, I got to undo this thing. And it was more recently that I had, you know, a psychedelic experience that I was just going to help a friend. And then it was this crazy, you know, went to this event and I was just going there purely to help him out. And he was like super emotionally like disconnected from everything and like couldn't feel anything basically. And during that event, while I was just assisting him, and I was like, okay, a little bit of acid and Molly and K and all that kind of stuff in a certain sequence, you know, but next thing I know, he like fucking popped. You know, he went from like feeling nothing to suddenly just like a volcano of emotions, but it was like all this like pain. I was erupting. And while I was in the middle of it, suddenly next thing I know, I'm in this crazy emotional kind of vortex of like feeling like returning to the womb kind of experience. And next thing you know, he like becomes my younger self. And I'm like, fuck. And then I become my mom. And I'm back in the womb kind of experience, like all at once is happening. And it just like, it was just this insane, super meta insane experience. But it was just like, I was like seeing a mirror into my past of my younger self and all the pain. And then like falling into that role of the smothering mother, I suddenly became aware of it, and I could be aware of how she would be with me. And then I was like, I can't be with him because that's what causes all the pain, and that causes my source of my pain. And it kind of like did this crazy kind of pattern interrupt moment but it was at this visceral level. And the next thing I know, it's like, you know, like in the Matrix, you know, like the hall scene, like at the very end of the Matrix, you know, it's like Neo after he got killed and then gets back up. And then he gets back up in the hallway and he's like, no. And all of a sudden, like the whole hallway becomes just code. I then had that kind of experience while I was at this event. All of a sudden, it's like all this unconscious patterns of all the manipulations and all this shit that was like operating from my mom and like in that environment that I grew up in. It suddenly just like, boom, it got projected into form of like images and symbols and words and feelings and all kinds of stuff. We got like projected out onto all of reality around me. And then it was like tempting me to keep going with it. And I was like, but then I'm like looking at it, my friend, he had like slumped to the floor and just wailing in just pain and agony of like just all the manipulation and stuff that he had dealt with as a child. And I was just like, fuck that. Like I could never do that again. Cause it's like betraying myself, you know, it's like, and there was this moment where suddenly I was just like, no, and just like totally rejected the whole thing. And then there was replaced with a sense of self-trust, you know, and And I've realized that was something that had been missing for a long time. I never had self-trust. I was afraid of shit that was like implanted in me, you know, it was like, would come out at the worst moment or something, you know, or the least opportune moment, you know? And so that's been something I've been really working through. And after that, it was like, fuck. Yeah, that was intense. That was a really intense moment. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I wasn't there to like, coming here to my own breakthrough. I was just going there to help my friend have a breakthrough, you know, just supporting him, you know? And then but like after that experience happened, then it was like, I finally had this feeling of like, okay, I have a chance now. I have a real chance now, because up until that point, I realized that was part of the source of where I never actually fully went for anything. Because at the deep foundation, I didn't actually trust myself, because I knew that I had flawed foundational upbringing programming that was just all this enmeshment stuff that just like, I was always worried that it was like a ticking time bomb, that right when things would get good, it would come out and just fuck everything up. And so I didn't even want to go fully for anything, because I was just like, what's the point? It's going to get fucked up anyways, you know? And so, but that was like pretty recently that occurred. That was like 2 months ago that happened. So now I'm just like, I'm finally in this state of, okay, now I'm ready to finally, and like thinking about what we said about, you know, you mentioned about the laser, you know, it's like, I'm ready to just like fucking laser on something. And one of the reasons I want to come to this event was to like really get clear, you know, get clear on deciding on what I want to do next, and stop like just sitting on the fence and just kind of like being in this holding survival pattern, you know? And so that's, you know, and so I've been, so I'm definitely getting more inspired about what I want to do next, because I'm definitely like, all right, I want like by, you know, fully transition out of what I've been doing, like doing all this, you know, the TaskRabbit thing has been good, you know, doing all this freelance stuff's been good, but it's just very scattershot. It's all over the map, and it's not building anything. And I want to start doing something really cool that's going to build up something. And I realize that I want to team up with some people to build something up, and just trying to just do everything solo isn't working for me anymore. So, but I'm feeling, after a few conversations, I'm definitely feeling a lot more clear now about what I want to do next. And sometimes just, it's about just going for it, you know, and having the trust, you know, and maybe that's part of it. Some guys just didn't go for it because like some part of them knows that there's something that they have unresolved, that they can't trust themselves yet, you know? And so maybe, I don't know, maybe that might be an issue. I don't know I'm curious what your thoughts on that self-trust issue thing.
Not on the self-trust, but I would say, like, you know, the problem is you went to your friend and you didn't know what you were going to get, and then you were going to help him, and then he helped you, right? Or the situation, you know, coming here, you don't know what you're going to get either. That's the fucked up thing. We don't know, you know, you just keep striving, and then you get what you needed, kind of, you know what I mean? That's the weird thing. You might not get a new career. You might not decide. You might not see it, but you're getting a lot already. I can see that. Yeah. And it's like a lot of it's just like, you're just like afterwards, like, what was that? Fuck, you know? And then later on, you're like, oh, I get it, you know? So that's fucking awesome stuff, man.
Yeah, so I don't know what other details to add. I mean, I figure that's kind of, you know, I like I said, you could probably listen to the other videos for other details of the other previous stuff, but that's kind of where, yeah, that's where I'm at, and so those are the key things. Yeah, just focusing on, yeah, building on that new self-trust, just trusting instinct, knowing, just go for it, just leap. Don't need to know. I mean, don't even, yeah, because there's some areas in my life where that's my normal routine, is that I just jump blindly into a random situation, and I'm like, but it's because I've had enough times that I do it. I'm like, I trust myself that I will figure it out because I have enough you know. But when it comes to like something much bigger, on a much grander, like building my life in some other way, that was the thing that I hadn't trusted myself yet, and now I feel like that's finally shifted, and now I'm ready to with some laser focus actually go for it. Techno shaman, yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. Techno shaman, yeah, that's the title we come up with. Yeah. All right, cool. All right. Next.
Is this thing already on?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Right to your left.
All right. How's this? Okay, we're good here. All right, so first off, before I speak, first thing I want to do, I want to give everybody here a round of applause for being here. Because just think about it. You could be anywhere fucking else right now, but you're here, which is the greatest place to be for this fucking weekend at this moment. So. All right. So my name's Trevor. I've talked to many of you already kind of as we were coming in to the door. So kind of get started off. This is the first summit that I have actually been to, and I made it, I think, what was it, about 2 weeks? I'm going to go and sit down. My legs are tired. But I made the decision to come to this summit with about 2 weeks notice. Didn't really have any plans to come to the summit before that. Just because, first off, I didn't know that there was a summit originally. And then when I learned that there was a summit, I was like, shit, let's go on a whim. To kind of give a little bit of background where, like, a lot of my knowledge base began for me on a lot of this, I actually grew up. Now, I know plenty of people have grown up with parents who have divorced. I have grown up with my dad, who has been divorced 3 times. And got married. He's now married a 4th time. Yeah, and yeah, quite a bit right there. And so, worse than Paul. Say what? That's worse than Paul. Yep, worse than Pop. Pop never learned. Oh no, Pop did learn, but my dad never did. But no, anyways, so I kind of got to see the angle of what that type of aspect can look like, and I did see a little bit of a different side, I'm not going to say, well, darker is probably the darker side of female nature, if you will, at a very early age. Kind of with the way that my mom is, I did not have a very good relationship with her. It wasn't that she was bad, but she was very, very neglectful. At a very early age. So I got to learn kind of the psychology that was there very early on. And as I grew up, I was alone a lot of the time, not because of any neglect, but it was just kind of by necessity, because my dad had to work, and because I was very mature for my age, it was kind of, well, we're just going to leave you alone because you can handle your own shit. And this was actually when I was 5. So it was very much a case where I was alone a lot of the time. So I was at an early age, very stunted with like social skills and shit like that. Where it was like, I would talk to kids at school, but because I'm stunted or whatever, it doesn't come across very properly or whatnot. And by the time I got to being about 12, 13, it was a little bit, what's the best way to put it? It was a little bit annoying at that point because, 13-year-old, you want to get a girlfriend, you want to do the type of shit that all fucking 13-year-olds when they're going through puberty want to fucking do. And I think it was a couple years after that, I was starting to get good because I did have a brother at the time who was helping me out a little bit on the knowledge of the stuff, and just kind of, he would have been what would have been more of a natural, so it was kind of like, well, if I can see the behavior, I can mimic it a little bit, or be able to follow off of. That was a stepbrother that I had at the time. And by the time that I was actually 16 was when I first started learning about game and shit like that, where I picked up, Neil Strauss's book that he had made at the time, and that was where I picked it up in the store, started reading it. This led to an interesting thing where I was already kind of socially awkward in high school, so none of the girls want to do anything with you there. But outside of the school, I was starting to be okay with them and be able to do shit. So if I would talk to any of the dudes in school, they'd be like, "No, you're full of shit," just because of what their experiences with you is. But if you're saying, "No, I'm doing this," it just sounds like, oh, you're talking yourself up. But overall, because at a young age, I didn't have much interaction, I got into an interest in psychology. That led to where after high school, I actually went into the military, and I went into the behavioral health field in the military. So I helped a lot of dudes who were getting their marriages destroyed, getting a lot of shit that was happening. Their wives were banging Jody while they were off on deployment, if you know who the fuck Jody is. So it pretty much is the case where that reinforced kind of that nature side to me that I could see. And I had ultimately developed, like when it came to women, I had developed a I don't give a fuck attitude, which was beneficial for me because if you come into that with confidence in a way, it's like, I don't give a fuck how this turns out. We can be cool with each other. We can do whatever. And it kind of puts into their mind, oh, well, am I not good enough? Or why isn't he into me like other dudes are? So that was kind of how I was able to play the game, and I was able to do what the fuck I was doing. And at the time while in the military was when I was actually starting up a couple different businesses. I had shit that I was running at the same time. So it was like, I don't have time to deal with any of this bullshit. I'm doing whatever the fuck I'm going to be doing. And come 2014 was about the time that I got out of the military, and I decided, hey, you know what I need to develop and I need to build up? I need to build up my sales skills. And because I've always been, like I said, always been interested in psychology, always been interested in people and getting to understand and know people better. And and if I want to be able to build up my business, that's something that I want to be able to do. So when I started out, I worked at a cell phone place. I become out of 2,000 people in 8 months for the entire sales base that they had. I became what was one of their top 20 salespeople in the entire company. And that was in my first 8 months in sales that I was doing shit there. And to be fair, part of it was I figured out a way to work their system that they had in my favor. That was something that I was always doing, was to be able to understand a system as best I can, to be able to game that system as best I can. Pretty much making shit work in my favor and twisting around as much of my favor as possible. Then at that point, I got bored with what I was doing there. Just because it was like, okay, I performed well. I got a free trip to Mexico from the shit that we had. I'm bored now. I want to move on to something different. And that was when I had started up another business that I had. It worked well for a couple years, and then rules on it changed, and that's what kind of crashed stuff for me. And at that point, it began I'm not going to say downwards trend, but I became kind of depressed in my life at that point. And it was, a lot of the reason is because it was like, okay, I had a lot of shit going good for me, but I need to get a lot of this, going, and it doesn't seem like a lot of stuff is going right, because I have this crashing, I have that crashing, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to be doing. But I have enough faith in myself that I will be able to build stuff back up. Where a lot of what has led me to doing a lot of stuff, like I have within the last 3 years, I've been building up. I have a business that I built up. I have 2 businesses currently that I run concurrently with one another. And I've talked to a couple of you guys about what I'm doing at the moment. And where I have just now dug myself out of the damage that the previous one does. And I had looked at myself in the mirror, I think it was about a month or so ago, and just realized that, holy shit, you're doing okay on one aspect, but I don't like the aspect of, like, I need to work on my weight, I need to work on a lot of this other shit. So you need to refocus and resurround yourself with people who you know are going to be able to help bring that to you. And what I mean by that is that when you have like-minded people around you, it makes whatever goals you have much, much easier to be able to accomplish and to be able to do, because those types of people are ones that you can talk to. They can be in your ring and be like, yeah, bro, you fucking got this, you can do it. And it's not just fucking fluff speak like many other people could have. They would actually know what the fuck they were talking about and know what the hell was going on or what they were doing. There's less resistance, yes. Like, we can use this summit for example. If you were to try and gather a random 20 people, just pick a random 20 people out of a crowd or whatever, they would have nowhere near the quality, intelligence, and different skill sets that the 20 people here or whatever bring to the same table. It would. I'm not going to say that any of them would be bad people, but it would never be nowhere near the same type of quality that you would have. And for me, on a lot of aspects, I am very much a let's fucking do it type of dude, where I will drop something on a whim as long as I'm not going to fuck myself over by doing it. I'm like, all right, cool, let's fucking go. Let's do this shit. Let's get the shit done. Let's make it fun. Where, like I said, for Ronin stuff, I had seen that he was actually having the video for the summit, or talking about the summit in a couple of his videos. And he had said, oh, yeah, we're going to be having the summit down at, like, Austin, or we're going to be having it at, what was the other location that you were considering? At Pebble Beach. Or Redondo Beach. And that was where it was like, well, you know, I haven't gone to a summit. I didn't even know you were having summits, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So when I heard that, oh, hey, there's actually going to be a summit down there, it's like, cool, fuck, I'm in. Okay, so trying to find the details of it, that was when I got your Unblackmailable course, and that was where we had the first phone call. Then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to Austin too. Or
I gotta say something about you. You're a crack up dude.
Yeah.
You this guy is hilarious. Like, so unique, this guy. Really, seriously. Like, his car is covered with ads. He gets paid for putting ads on your car. He's so practical. Trevor is you're so fucking practical. He can be sitting in his room and Xerox off old newspaper clippings of UFO things and sell them online for big money and make tons of money per day. You're like the new Robert Ringer. Like, it's like, this guy can do. You're such a hustler. You're such a fucking hustler. Like, I think that is so unique. I think Scott's a hustler. You're a hustler. Oh yeah. No, hustler's a good word for me. Oh yeah.
I take it with respect.
Oh, hustler's a good word. And you are too. You'll just do it. Like, other people will say they're gonna do it. Like, meanwhile, your car will be covered in signs, and you'll be like, oh yeah, of course. I said, I had that idea 2 minutes ago. Now they're on there, right? Done. That's just, I really respect that about you. I think that's so cool. Same way you came here. It's like, you're just like, boom,
Right. Yeah, and the way that I like to hustle, the way that I like to do is I like to come up with ideas, and I'm always brainstorming for shit. I'm always keeping stuff in the back of my mind. Like, if I'm 100% honest, part of the reason I came to the Ronin Man Summit was because I expected a lot of guys here to have ideas on stuff that they were doing, or perspectives that I hadn't even seen before. So being able to pick people's minds and be like, okay, what can I learn from it? What can I use from that to be able to grow and to be able to expand into whatever else that I'm doing? Like, one of the things that I have consistently over the past, 15 years learned is, how can I make, and this is just something that's very simple, but how can I use an idea to make like an extra $500 a week? How can I turn something that most people would see as having absolutely no value into something that I could automatically make money from just by shitting out the idea a couple hours a week or whatever? And by doing that, I also like using that type of idea to be able to share to other people, where not everybody's going to want to do the same type of shit. But if they see something that you can explain to them, like step 1, 2, 3, and you don't need anything starting with, or you can start with nothing to be able to do it, it's a lot easier for people to get on board with those type of ideas. And that is something that I like to be able to help dudes and help females, if they're listening to it too, to be able to ultimately take a step in their life. Because like, for a lot of people, taking that first step, if like financial stuff was an issue or whatever, having an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month or something like that can definitely be a good first step that they would have. So that is a lot of times where I would talk in person about the type of stuff that I would do, where I would have, I was even showing a few of you guys, for example, where stuff that you would think was absolutely worthless, that you would have no use for, how much freaking money it sells for, like on Amazon these days or anything like that. So it's very much I want to be able to give to the people around me and to be able to receive back at the same time, because ultimately what I believe is by providing value to others, you also receive that immense of value in return.
You know, I was just thinking, I bet you would gain a lot. I bet you would gain a lot from going to the Guangzhou Fair in southern China. It's the biggest fair in the world. It's like all these products. And the GoPro guy, the guy who started that, he went there, he saw a camera. It was just a cheap $19 camera. He said, I'm going to make this into a sports camera. And so he made a plastic thing around it, called it a GoPro, became a billionaire, right? He just repurposed that. He just like saw that it was a quality camera, and then nobody knew what to do with it. Like it was just this $19 camera. It was just sitting there. Like, what was it for? It's not a camera, right? You can't take pictures with it really, you know. And then he saw, well, I could use this way or that way. I saw a lot of guys in China get rich doing that. And not just that guy. I saw a lot of guys, they'd see something and they'd say, well, we could put this inside that and sell it like that. And these guys, like, seems like a joke, but they become rich. Right. Yeah, it's amazing. I saw one guy, he saw all these beads, and then he started threading them into like necklaces and stuff. And then he told me, he said, why don't we do it together? And I didn't do it. I saw him like 5 years later. He was fucking rich. He did women's jewelry from these little beads that he got in China, you know? And it was like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like he took those beads in that shop that we were all standing there looking at, and he saw that could be jewelry, and he made a fortune off that, right? I'm sure he's got like a huge company now, because he was just like banking. The guy was like, he was the same kind of personality. So you just kind of got to see a lot of shit, and, you know, like go around, you know, that's what I would say. You know, go bigger, go bigger.
Yeah, seeing that type of aspect, or just being able to reimagine stuff in a different way, kind of being able to develop that creative mindset. Where for me, we had kind of found out early on that, and nobody really knows this about me, but early on, I actually got diagnosed with Asperger's. So if any of you are talking to me, you probably would not have picked any of that type of stuff up or whatever, just because when you have that, you're going to be more socially awkward. And I'll be honest, that was something that I had to work on to overcome and to be able to work through, because I didn't even realize it until I had actually talked to somebody and they said, yeah, you do have that. So, and I don't necessarily take something like that as a crutch. I take that as oh, well, that explains this, so now this is something that I can work through and I can overcome and be able to move forward with. Like something that I talked to you about when we were walking was, I don't know if any of you noticed, but I have a super fucking high-pitched voice, and that is something that I want to personally work on for myself. I had thought that my voice was a higher pitch, but as soon as I actually heard the video or the audio callback, I was like, I do not like the way that my voice sounds at all. It annoys the ever-loving shit out of me. So it was like, okay, that is something that I want to be able to work on specifically for myself, and that is something that I need to go there. Like, I look at where my weight is at. Okay, I want to get that down. I hear my voice. I want to get that down. And if I'm being honest, a lot of it is that it's not so much that aspect of it itself that bothers me. It's more so in the not marginalization, that's not the right word. It's more so that if I'm going to be doing game, like I still like picking up women, I still like doing that stuff, by maximizing every little aspect that you can in my mindset, it just makes it less fucking work that you have to do. So I'm just more so looking at shit from a practical angle where, oh, I maximize this aspect, I maximize that aspect, and that any of those little things could be turning a no into a yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I bet you could have my friend had a website. It was happy with this disease he had. And he ended up having 40,000 people a month, you know, giving him money, and he was inspiring that. But you have it. I had happywithaspergers.com, and just on the site I had a podcast telling guys like how to get over it, how you dealt with it, and how what I think you're not is like I see it as a character advantage for you, because you just see things clearly. It's like a lot of people, they're just doubting, and you see it super clearly, like, oh, that's $10 more than that. Oh, I'll get that and do that. Oh, I can do that and make it into $20, and then 30. I can make that into 600. Okay, I'll do that. Like no fear, just do it, you know. And I think you could, while you could inspire other guys, you could build another business just while you're fucking around driving, and have your microphone on, and just talk about that. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who, you know, they want to learn how to be successful. Like, they don't want to just fucking deal with this shit. They want to use it to their advantage, like a secret weapon. You know, I bet you could do that. Yeah, come over here. You got to talk right into it, though.
I was just thinking about this. Like, what you are really good at is making money online, which is something that so many people are trying to do. This way. So many people are trying to do that and not having success, or like they're trying to do like the big wins. And really, there's so much value in all these small wins. And if you string them together and you're like, well, it doesn't really take that much time. If you do, you know, you can make $20 here, $20 there. And that doesn't really matter as much in America. But increasingly, there's a lot of people, like if you're in Mexico City and you're on $1,500 a month, you're living like a king. And you're, you know, so a lot of people, like if you share that, as Paul is saying, with like a lot of people, you can create a lot of value for them, right? Like, so I think that's really, really cool.
Paul, can I add to that? Yeah, you got to come over. Yeah,
I got to come over. Damn it. Okay, so that was a great point, and it triggered something in me. When I crashed and burned in the real estate business right here in Austin, Texas, 2007, 2008. And yeah, with everybody. Yep, exactly, because I was working for Eben, because I crashed and burned. So I went from a 7-figure earner to zero. But when I started, I got inspired to start online businesses, and I wanted to like recreate the income that I had before, and it was a complete failure. But the thought that I had was, okay, so instead of trying to have one website that makes $300,000 a month, I'll bet you I could make websites, little websites, selling little products, and make $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,500. So I ended up like with 20, 30 little websites doing that, doing little bits of money, and it all added up to the same thing. It's a lot easier to make a little website bringing $1,500 a month. I mean, anybody can do. Back in the day, it was AdSense. Remember AdSense? That's when we were able to make money doing that. But yeah, that's a great strategy. And with your brain and that voice, shit, man. There's money all over that.
I'm just going to get my ASMR. That's what we'll do.
ASMR. If you stack up enough of the micro, it becomes macro. And that's...
There's one other thing. I've always liked the youth hostel business because I spent my youth in youth hostels. Literally, you know. So I know every fucking youth hostel. I know how they work. I know exactly how to run one. I actually had a business renting rooms. And the thing is what I like about it is you don't have one guest for $1,000. You have a ton of guests for $10, $20. And the thing is, what's cool about it, it's like the same thing. Is like when I closed it wasn't a youth hostel, it was like a bunch of things like that. People would still be showing up, I found out like 5 years later, knocking on the door. Because they don't even read ads. They just know that you're there. They were there before. And they're coming back. They're like so loyal. Like, those guys are so fucking loyal. So there's businesses that you wouldn't think are profitable, but you could actually make a lot of money with youth hostels. And it's really, really stable money. You know, you're not like up and down, because people always have $10, $20, and $40 for like a private room when they want to be the big man and fuck the girls in the youth hostel. They'll get the $40 room. So you got to have one $40 room for the baller. Yeah. And he'll get it. And have like silk sheets and shit. Have it a little higher up. And then the girls will want to like take a nice shower. They'll want to go in there. So he'll want to, so you can have there's different strategies for youth hostels, but you can make money. You can have different price rooms in there. But the thing is that kind of money, I used to headhunt. And the thing about headhunting, I loved it. And I was good at it. Made good money. But, man, when you lose a deal, like a $36,000 deal, and you think you're going to get it's going to be in your bank tomorrow and it's not, it's just real hard on you, And then 2 fall through, it's like $70,000 you thought you were going to have. And it's just like, it's really, the stress is insane, when you're paying bills, it's like, it's stressful, right? You're in Tokyo, bills are high, right? It's fucking shit's going down. And then it's so and so I really got tired of that, and I like safe money. I like consistent money, much more than I like big money these days. Just because I know myself. I get too stressed out, and I don't care about money. So that's the other thing. I'm not the guy who, if I make all the deals, I'm like all of a sudden different. Like, I'm the exact same fucking guy, you guys. No matter if I'm rich or poor, I'm exactly the same. I eat vegetables. Like, I don't like going to expensive. I'm exactly the same, actually, which is weird, but I am, And the thing is like, so there's no benefit. There's no benefit, really, for me, other than I can do other things with it. But it's not. So the thing is, I just want that consistent money so that I don't have to stress. And I don't have to stress because the reason why, I'll just end this, the reason why people rip people off, in my mind, a lot of people, is because they're living beyond their means. And so I always live in my means. So it's never a risk for me. And that's a big deal to me. I don't have to do that. And also I don't have to stress. So those two things out of the way, plus I don't have to have a job. Those three things, it's like life is good for me. Like, I'm so happy, right? So the thing is, your way of like, the only thing I would say is like, when you say it's easy to make 500 here, 500, but I would think, oh, I can't do it, or I always need to do it. I've wondered when you told me, could I do it, or would it be too much work to do it on eBay? And you'd have to make people comfortable that they could do it, and show them. And like, if you get 100 people doing what you're doing and making money, the value is going to be insane for them and you, because not many people are like you that can actually teach someone. You tell them you're going to make $200, they're going to make $200. You tell them they're going to make $30, they're going to make $30. You figured it all out. You know what I mean? That's just ironclad. This goes in here, and you sell that, and then it's the price. And like, that's beautiful. That's why it's beautiful. It's an honest, stress-free way to live. The idea that you have to be somebody else, everybody tells you, fuck that. If you want some two-faced woman, you can do that. You need to do that. You know what I mean? But if if you're just happy with yourself, that's the thing. That's one big advantage of not chasing like any kind of standard societal relationships, is that you don't have to make the money. You can actually be yourself your whole life. Like, I want to be skipping rocks, climbing trees, and fucking around with dogs, and hanging out with my friends camping in some illegal place my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm totally happy. And if I got a bunch of money in the bank, that's great. I do like that too, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just basically know yourself, consistent money. I love it. I fucking love it.
And like, something to add on to that, just the example right here where we've seen everybody, or we had 3-4 people who jumped in already. You're not going to be able to get that aspect outside of something like this. Like I said, if you're just talking to a random person, we actually have people who have experience with doing this or doing that. So versus talking to a random person where they may not have had experience doing that, so they may not know better, or they may say, oh, well, this is an idea, but with no experience or anything, the value of that is a lot less. Now, kind of something else that when you were talking that came to my mind is because I live very, very minimalistically. Like, I have an apartment that I rent right now, just a 1-bedroom apartment, just because it covers the needs of what I need and covers the baseline of what I have. I have very, very little stuff. I have pretty much the most valuable thing I have is just my computer, so I can, and technically my cell phone, so I can work. But other than that, I have the clothes that I need, and I have the baseline of stuff that I need. I don't really have a whole lot as far as what would be like ongoing expenditures, because I just wanted to cut anything I don't need that would be like an ongoing thing that I don't find value in. I just toss it, because a lot of stuff, I'll be honest, if I know that like I'm not going to use a pool long term, or I'm not going to use a lot of this stuff all the freaking time, I just find it easier to rent shit as I need it for if it's going to be something along those lines. I can kind of come and go, but because I can live very, very minimalistically for me, and that's kind of a standard that I'm okay with. It doesn't bother me. Like, when I got here the first night, I had my sleeping bag. I crashed on the floor just because I was like, that's where I'm going to fucking sleep. Roger was asking me, are you sure that's okay? Do you need anything else? I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. Fuck it. So that's very, very much the mentality that I take. And I'll be honest, part of that mentality developed when I was in the Army. Because when you're in the military, you get used to dealing with a lot of dog shit stuff or whatever. The way that I look at it is, I'm glad that I went through it, not so much that if you ask me to go back right now, I don't think I would want to go back right now necessarily because there's other shit I'd rather be doing. But it was very much a embrace the suck type attitude. So, and that was very much the type of or lifestyle that I emboldened and I carry on with myself. So, yeah, right. Very, very stoic.
All right, 3-4 more dudes. Yeah, 4 more guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Who's next?
Come on up, somebody.
There we go.
Talk to the green side.
Awesome. How's it going, guys? This is SBC back for my 3rd Ronin Man conference. I apologize in advance if I seem a little disoriented the past couple of days. I haven't gotten a whole lot of sleep. When I heard Ronin Man was doing another conference, I was just like, I'll move mountains to come here. Like, I get so much out of these conferences that if it means pulling a couple of all-nighters to get all my work stuff wrapped up to come, it's a definite go. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. I just want to say thank you, Ronan, for everything that you do. I don't know if you fully even grasp just how inspirational you are to us. I mean, your words have definitely changed my life in my day-to-day activities, when I go about things, when I interact with the world. I've followed a lot of content creators, but what you say has, inspired me to, really improve and keep going. And I really appreciate your content. I don't know how else to put it. I think of you almost as the Pied Piper of the manosphere. I really do. You are so inspirational. So thank you so much for putting these on. I know 4 or 5 years ago, I think you met with another content creator. It was Miggy. And then from there, you started doing these meetups, and they just keep getting better and better and better. The guys that come here are so quality. So thank you. I did a lot of thinking, and it's what is it that's really bothered me? And I think I dated it back about 3-4 years ago when I first kind of started my red pill journey. And you perfectly articulated it a few minutes ago when you said that forever trap. I feel at least for me, when you start hitting your 30s, there's a lot of pressure on you as a guy to sign up for a lot of responsibilities and obligations that will pretty much lock you in and change your life for the rest of your life. And I'm 36 now, and when I started hitting my 30s, I saw a lot of my friends signing up for these obligations, and then such as marriage and getting really locked down into debt. And I just started looking around, and, I've always been kind of perceptive, and I looked at my dad and other married guys that have had long-term marriages. We talk a lot about divorce and how shitty divorce is, but dude, I've barely ever seen a successful marriage. The marriage that you described, Scott, that's very rare. My dad's the same age as you, and growing up in my household, my parents have been married for 40 years. And watching my mother basically just eat away at my dad's masculinity for years has just been it's just so destructive. And it's not just their marriage. I see my uncles, I saw my grandpas go through it, my neighbors go through it. And to see that and know that that's more than likely either you're going to probably end up miserable with living a shit life, or you're probably going to get thrown through the divorce court ringer, really makes you question everything. So I think that shit life, that forever trap, is the main thing that, first of all, I was seeking to understand, and 2, avoid it. So when I started looking around at all this and noticing it, I just thought, this is not what I want to do for the long run in my life. So before I initially found your channel, the first step I took, I was dating a girl at the time, and she was really trying to lock me down into a commitment, and I was also going through a lot of stress at work, and so I needed a break. And so I was at a work conference in Miami, and while I was there, I reached out to an uncle of mine, and he's very much a Ronin Man type of guy. I talked about him a little bit in the video that I shot with Ronin Man, the 5-year recap video. And he even kind of looks like Ronin Man in the sense that, like, he kind of has always seen this shit for what it is. He never got married, takes great care of himself physically. He started a business as an entrepreneur, so he was his own boss, and he retired a multimillionaire in his early 50s. And, like, when I went there, he had this really nice penthouse in Miami Beach, and he was, like, banging this Colombian chick that was half his age, and just super cool, attaboy, right? Super cool guy. And I was just like, Uncle, like, you know, how did you, like, see through all this, you know, crap, like, you know, the plantation trap? And he goes, well, look, you can either love women or you can understand women. But once you understand women, you can't really do both, because you realize there just isn't that much to love. And that pretty much set off my journey, because I realized that I wasn't the only one that was realizing how fucked up shit life that most guys live. So when I came back from my trip to Miami, I started looking at different content creators, and a lot of them kind of had this, like, you know, angry nihilistic sort of vibe, and I didn't really jive with that. And then I came across Ronin Man, and I was like, dude, this guy really gets it. And you know, your words, they play in my head every week when I'm, you know, dealing with issues in life. And I think the problem is now it's almost gotten to a point where I've overdosed on red pills. Like, I know too much about, like, society and its inner workings and the game and what, you know, what's going on when you know, you're dating a girl and she takes you to IKEA, she's trying to trap you. Like, it's just like this shit. I can't go anywhere without thinking of something Ronan has said. So I mean, it's like, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
just give in. Don't fight it.
So yeah, I mean, I think for me now the point is just kind of figuring out kind of next steps and really flushing out all this information that I have, and you know, just trying to avoid that whole plantation trap scam. So if anyone has any recommendations, please let me know.
I got, you know, I was thinking, well, we just went to the gym, right, the other day, and I signed up for the, you know, the bullshit what is it, trial? Yeah. Because I knew I was only work out one more time in that town. So I was like, I signed up, and then the guy at the end of the, you know, he was cool. He let me work out. And in the end, he's like, you know, it's the power, it's the pressure, right? He's like, so, you know, you could work on some things, you know, we could work on some, it was basically a training gym. So he was trying to get a lot of money, and he just kept pushing like this course and the yearly and the 5-year and then the trainer and then this. And then finally, like, I just gritted my teeth through the whole thing. And then we got down to the end, and he said, okay, look, you can do it for $50 a month with no commitment if you want, you know. And the thing is, the reason why it's so hard to get to fight all these traps is people have a huge interest in you taking them. You know, the guy is going to make a lot of money if I sign. So he's like, they're pushing you to get it, and it's like not fun to fight it. But if you can just see, they're just trying to get something from you. And the thing is, I'm not trying to get anything from him. I'm not, you know, I wanted to use the gym, but that was what they offered, right? I'm not trying to get anything from people, but they're trying to get something from you. So part of it is not wanting from them and then not allowing them to take from you. You know, it's like, that's why it's so hard. It is hard. I can hear in your voice like the struggle, and it will always be hard because they want you to, they make money off you signing this thing. So you just got to remember that. It's like, okay, they're not bad people, but I just don't sign shit. And the thing is, people will just offend, like, people get pissed off at me because they'll be like, you didn't sign up for this. I mean, they won't say it like this, but they'll just name the things. You didn't sign up for that. 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 You're afraid of commitment. you know, or whatever. They just can't, like, understand. I was at a wedding the other day, right? And the guy next to me, he was cool, you know, and he was talking, and he said, so you never got married? And I, you know, he was like in his 60s, 70s, and I said, no. And him and his wife were standing there. And he said, you know, why not? And I just said, you know, I thought of it, I go, I just never saw any value in it. And like, yeah. And the whole table looked at me, and it was like, like the Pied Piper thing. Everybody knew. Yeah. The women and men. Everybody was like, whoa, someone's talking truth here, you know? Like, you know, and I was like, it was cool, you know? I was like, but you very rarely get any kind of kudos for not doing what people want you to do. So it is a struggle. And that's the thing is you get with guys and together, you know, you're strong enough because there's no advantage to ever giving in to any of these pressure tactics. I'm not saying you should never make a decision. You know, like I decided I wanted to have a kid, right? You know, you can't have a kid without having a kid. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things you got to do, you know, but the thing is you decide that, what you want to do with your life. And you make a clear decision. You think of the cleverest way that you can do it, the best way that fits in with your life. You do a lot of research. There's always another way to do something, not the standard way. So if you don't want the standard, there's always another way to get that same thing. You know, you don't have to do it. You can live in Hollywood Hills without being a movie star, without owning a house. You know what I mean? There's like, I know these little like shacks up in the hills where they'll rent like almost a tree house. And it's fucking awesome. My friend lives in one. It's fucking great up there. Some of the best places, you know. Yeah, you'll see a few coyotes and shit, but you know, it's all good. You know, but there's always another way to get that thing you want, you know. So just be ready that people will always pressure you. But it does get better in your 40s. Yeah, it gets better. People start to give up on you know, and see you as a loser. So that makes it easier, you know. And then you're like, whoo, okay, I got past that one, you know. It's true. They just can't stand it. Why can't you do what everyone does? Be like us. I'm miserable. Do it too. You know, come on. Just do it. Just do it. Come on. You're so stubborn. Why don't you just do it? Just at least do something that's terrible, that's long-term and crushing, soul-crushing. Just one thing. Just do one thing. Then you're good. You know, sign up, buy a camper that's overpriced, and then have to always want to get rid of it, but don't get rid of it, and then just struggle with that. You know, have a storage shed full of shit. You know, have a job you don't want. Have just sign up a mortgage at the top of the market, and then just, you know, at least have some painful, miserable thing that you're trapped in. You know, because it's true. Because so many people, they're going to be resentful. That's it. Not only do they push you, but they're resentful because, as you know, they made a mistake, and you didn't. So don't expect them to like you. They'll respect you, but don't expect them to like you. It'll never happen.
That's all I got. Let's have a kick-ass summit.
I'll be Bob. Hey, this is Bob. I'm Bob today. Yeah, so I was the one hosted the summit, not hosted, but you know, at my my flat last year. Yeah, I think it's pretty coincidental. I think I probably would not have met you guys, or even like, you know, if it weren't for the, you know, I lost my fingers that summer, and I was like thinking about it, and I was like, hey, I'm just chilling. I was listening to one of yes, you were saying you had a summit nearby, so you're like, oh no, were you in Austin?
No, I was just doing the tour.
Okay, you were around, so I was like, hey, so yeah, just come on by, like, you know, just let's hang out, right? But anyway, Ronan really, so the year prior to when I met you, I was going through divorce, I was already out of the divorce, and there was one of the episodes, I think it was maybe the one, you know, you give the best sex to the one you cheat with, or one of those ones, right? A couple of those are like just unbelievably good, right? And what really helped me was, if she doesn't want to be in your house, like if there's like hatred, like if it's like, you know, all the different things that you talk about their nature, you know, and then you start to see that, you witness it, you know, all the people you interact with, all the women, all the relationships, all these people, you see that playing out exactly as, you know, he describes, you know, many scenarios. And then I internalized, like, you know what, she doesn't want to be here, like, why do you want to be, like, that was good, you know, like, it was you know, the divorce, you know, now I feel I'm very blessed, you know, I have 2 sons, and even, you know, the marriage in the beginning, I was quite red pill, actually. I was all these Red Queen, Sperm Wars, I read those way back in the day. Like I was on a plane to Amsterdam, reading the game. There's like 4 other dudes in like all reading the game. It was like the month that it came out, and then that book just blew. Like we were using it in Amsterdam, it was like crazy. It was like so powerful, right? So I think even though I knew how to use those tools, I didn't really know the nature, right? So there's many more aspects of women's nature and all this kind of stuff, and you just see these patterns. And then now I live in the
it'll get bigger if you get it.
Oh, I see. So yeah, so like I live in a suburb community, right? So I just see all these married people, as you said, they're just, you can see their eyes, they're just having a hard time. There's just so much chaos in their families, and so now like I have I'm fortunate to I've always, that's the things, like even before the divorce, I always thought, when is the shoe going to drop? My whole life, I've been pretty lucky. I'm always cocky, ignorantly cocky, right? My whole life was everything going good for me. So, the divorce happened, and I felt really, that was definitely the hardest time of my life. It's very dark, it's like, because, like you want to have control, everything as a guy, you plan, I'm a prepper, I have everything is sorted out, right? And then but that, of course, you cannot control another person in your wife, right? I mean, it's your anyway. So yeah, I think all these episodes, Ronin, that you've done, that gave me a lot of peace. There's part of things, even like just being alone. Sometimes, like now, I don't even, my problem now is I don't even want them in my house. Like, like sometimes I just love being alone. Like sometimes we'd have a party or some girls stay over or whatever, and like I don't even want, that's why I have a hard time with Skye. He's like, dude, go talk to those girls. Like I'm like, oh my god, like I cannot even do it. I cannot even do it. Like like you were saying too. Like we know too much. Now it's just like there's almost a disgust sometimes, and that goes back to liking somebody. How am I supposed to, like, you don't like racing, I know, like you want to talk, you don't want to talk about this, like, I like hanging out with these guys. I want to do badass stuff, right? I want to get on my motorcycle, I want to do all these things. The girl's like just gonna drag me back. Like what am I gonna do with her? Like it's boring to me now. And then if I bring them into my life, it's chaos. So I don't, I'm I like having them around. It's fun in these certain states. You drink enough or whatever, and then we dance or whatever. But that's fun. But yeah, I'm struggling in that part. Like you guys, and it may be different because I have 2 children too. I don't know. Maybe I don't have. That's a biological thing. I don't know. But for me, that is a challenge that I'm kind of just. And it actually happened. As you were saying, there's a late, I don't know if I want to talk about it too much, but married woman, so it's just like, and it's just like exactly as you say, right? Exactly as it is. It's just like, they want to be that way, and it's much more exciting. They need that excitement. And then you bring that into your life, you might get a keyed car, right? Right? I just don't want that. I got my everything is sorted. Everything is good. But, and again, and one of the values that I get with you guys, these summits so far is just all so many cool guys, like you guys were saying, risk takers in some sense, but also intelligent, right? So like, I've always considered myself a bit risk taker. I used to race cars, but you always take, you put a roll cage in, you wear a Hans device, you take these extreme scenarios because it's so enjoyable, but we also understand, like we're measuring this, right? Calculated risks. And those are the kind of guys I like to hang out with, and, whatever the scenarios, right? Going out, exploring what our minds can do, and doing fun stuff, and yeah. I'm very fortunate to meet a lot of you guys and spend time with you guys.
Fuck yeah. Thanks, man. It was great to hear you. Like, I see you more like a brother because, I grew up overseas being a minority, right? Like, as an adult, I've been all my life overseas. in a town where there's like not that many white people. So when I look in the mirror, one time I looked in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, a white guy. And I'm like, oh, that's me. I swear to God. Yeah, like I passed the mirror and I just like, I was so not used to seeing other foreigners that I actually thought that, for real. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been here a long time. And, so when I see, the way you came, like we kind of have the opposite but same stories. And so it's very interesting for me. I can relate to a lot of things on another level, totally besides just the, and also we both, I street raced, you raced, and like so many things we have in common.
Also Japan, right? So I lived in Japan.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stories you had about Japan, I know exactly what you're saying. So that was also why I enjoyed listening to your things. So it's like, oh yeah, in the 80s. I mean, I remember in the 90s, right? Yeah. My cousins had like ridiculous amounts of money. Like that was right at the peak of right before the crash, right? So like, these kids are like 17-year-olds with like $2,000 to go pachinko. Just blow money. Like how 17-year-olds with $2,000 in their pockets? It was crazy, right? Crazy days.
Yeah. We have so many things in common just besides, and I think the and like I love just a lot of other things, like the way you treated us in your house and everything. It's just I feel like we can communicate almost without talking sometimes, which is cool.
You had the one recently, the episode about making it easier for other people. That's a very Japanese. You know how I say, if you're a guest to somebody's house, you want to, you make it comfortable, and that you probably got that by living in Japan. You seeing certain like attributes like that, right? Like, when I go to Chime's house, right? I get on the train. Or was it last year? Like I show up at your door. Like it was. I hope it was pretty smooth, right? Right? It's like easy, right?
What did I like? Leave you the key or something like that, or
the key was almost going to be taken out by the trash. You put it on the bottom of the trash can lid.
Yeah. Kenji's digging through the trash. No, come back. Say what you're gonna say.
No, that you almost lost your keys that day.
Oh, okay. That's all I was gonna say. Yeah, but that was a really cool opportunity because like I became friends with you at Summit, and also when I met you when we were on tour together, Paul and I, and then I invited you to come over to my house, and you were a good guest. Paul stayed over at my place. He was a good guest. Like making life easier for other people in general, whether you're a guest or not, it's good. You never want to be a burden, like it's more fun to just be fun.
Could say so many things, but okay. Awesome.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, Bob.
What's up, everybody? This is Bank. I don't even know where to start. Actually, I'll start with this. Ronin, thank you. For real. Like, you helped out my life a lot. Like, when I had my first girlfriend, it was because of your advice on how to pick up chicks, like little subtleties on what to do in order to get them there. And then breaking up with her was listening to your advice too, because I saw how she would have been in the future if we were still together. It was probably because of my own jealousy of how she liked other dudes and was attracted to other men at the same time we were dating her and just like looking at them. And then at the same time I was going to go join the military. So I was just wondering, man, if I was in the military right now, overseas somewhere, she's probably going to be fucking another dude. Like, yeah. Like, fuck. And, like fuck. She's going to be fucking Jody when I'm in boot camp. I'll be, like, pumping push-ups. She's going to get pumped into. Like, fuck.
Women are not monogamous.
Yeah. Like, and she, like, and she was, like, fairly attractive. Like, she is, people just, like, look at her and check her all the time. But, yeah. Like, there's so much that I want to talk about, and I don't think we have the time to talk about it too. But like listening to you for the past, say, it's about 3 years now. Like, you gave me a clarity that no one else has given me in a long time. Like, from women, from business. No one says what the hell, whatever you're saying, ever. I never got that. I may have got it like at some point, and I probably didn't listen to them because it wasn't on like the vibe that I was feeling. But the moment I listened to you, like, I just knew that you were real. All these other dudes that were online, like, oh yeah, this is how you fucking make money, or like, this is how you get pitches. It's like, nah, dude, nah. It didn't feel right, right? It didn't feel right at all. But then running it out here, it's like, you gotta get at it. Like at first I thought he was fake when I was going to meet him, picking him up for the summit. Then just staying with him for the past few days, it's like, holy shit. He's fucking real. All you guys are fucking real. Chime Time, Alex, Skye, Rye, like listening to everyone through the videos, it wasn't the same as coming here. Like, coming here really crystallized that people are real. People are real.
Dude, I gotta say something. That was the exact same feeling I had when I went to, my first 12-step program. Because the reason is, I think, I'm not sure what you're saying, but what I was thinking was, I just felt like I had been let down by people so much, and people had been so dishonest, that I just thought, there's no way that I'm going to meet a group where people are honest. Like, they would go up there and say their little stories, and that's nice and everything. But I didn't fucking believe it. Because how could I? Right? And so it's like when you meet real people, it's totally different. Because it's not about what they're saying. It's that you can trust it. So you can totally relax. You can listen. Try it out. And you're okay. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get let down again. Even if it doesn't work. It's like they thought it worked. It worked in their situation. Like, they're just passing on. There might be extenuating circumstances that particular method or whatever might not work. But it's still, it's like, they did it. And if it worked for them, then you're like, what am I missing? Or it didn't work in my time or whatever. But you can trust. And that is the key thing to build a life. You need to find people you can trust and be a trustworthy person. And then you can build stuff.
Going on about being a trustworthy person and building stuff too. For me, I wouldn't consider myself trustworthy because I don't know what I have to show for it. So it's hard because, like, back in the past, I was joining this one frat, or I was pledging. We're getting hazed. It was alright. There was no gay shit going on, but we're getting pumped hard. So, midnight, fucking cold, in the fall, with a wet hose, pumping. And then, that part was okay. It was the fucking mind games that it snapped. It just snapped one day. I was in the car, my line, bro. You just said something off. I felt like driving that car into a fucking ditch right there. And that was the moment that I knew it's like I can't be with these guys anymore. Or else, like, what have I done? Like, and that was the start of like a deep depression that like I would have just killed myself. Like, fuck. Like life started spiraling downwards hard. Start eating bad food. Same shit every day. Just fucking a bag of fucking extra hot Cheetos, even though they're fucking bomb. I was just eating up. Yeah, not even like the small bag. It was the family size shit. Yeah, I was eating those family size shits. Then I was also eating like fucking carne asada fries too. Fucking breakfast, dinner. Yeah. Stop working out. Fucking just looking online. Fucking, okay, what kind of drugs should I take in order to like get me out of this shit? It's like at that part, once I started looking into that, I started doing more weed, more salvia, taking more shit, to the point that it helped alleviate the pain a little in order to be able to get out of bed, in order to start pushing out push-ups, in order to go to class instead of just staying in my dorm, in order to fucking talk to people instead of just staying in my room and fucking jacking off to, yeah, just jacking off to porn. It was good. Then after that, like, sorry if I'm making a lot of pauses and stuff. Yeah, thank you. After that, I had to drop out of college in order to help out my family business, which was like deep in the red. And then one day, me and my brother, we just decided to like close down the business. He handed me a slip. It said that we're closing down or we're ceasing operations. I gave him the okay to send it to all our clients. The moment that I walked into the door, I just felt a deep stab go into my chest. And then fucking pain. Just pure, dark fucking pain. So much pain that I was glad that I had a strong upbringing in order to just walk into my office, fucking sit down and say, work is getting done here and now. Because what can you do? The only thing that I can do at that moment is do what I can. Because there was so much things that I lost at that moment. I lost my ego. I lost my personality. I lost my friends. I practically lost it all. It sucked. It sucked.
You learned you could live without nothing?
No, I still like stuff. I like material things. But I learned that in order to go through fucking pain, the only thing to do was be around good influences. When I stopped having friends because they didn't understand what I was going through, I told them, hey, my business is shutting down. They're like, oh, okay. Like, what the fuck?
You need help?
Yeah, it's like, wait, like, that was the moment that, like, I stopped hanging out with them. Yeah, because I had to do my thing. I just had to, like, keep everything steady. It's like a plane, the engine blew up. I just had to land it as gently as possible. It's going to crash. How do we crash it, like, safely? Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you lose your fingers, nobody can understand the pain of something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood, even in this scenario, people cannot relate. There are certain scenarios they cannot relate. So sometimes you may have to, this is why being around these characters and building up your strength in different ways, these people who you thought is going to care, or even my own, I mean, of course, my parents, when they found out about it, it's scary, but very few people would never, ever understand any kind of illness or pain that you have. That's your thing, you know? People are not going to care. You know, people may say they can care. Your best friends, they're going to care for sure. They're going to help you. But ultimately, many things, even this, there's no way to relate. There's so many scenarios in our lives, people will not be able to relate to the things that you went through. It's impossible. So just that's all I wanted to say. I mean, it's a totally different thing, but that's made me think about it.
Yeah. I was gonna say you're right. It doesn't have to be that somebody understands exactly the same thing. Like, what is it like to shut down a family business? Because that's so different than an individual business. You know, because it's everybody, and especially a family, immigrant family, where everybody sticks together, and you know what I mean. It's a different kind of way of looking at it. So it's like so easy to point blame. It's just very painful, right? I don't know, but I know I've lost things, and I remember one time, just small thing, but I put all my money in 1999 into two stocks, NetBank and what was the other one? Books A Million, yeah. And like in one night, like I went from like having a bunch of money to having like, I abandoned the account. Like I never looked at it again. I just let it get taken away. The IRS estated it. Yeah, they thought I died because I never replied. Yeah, they just took it. Yeah. Yeah, it went to Delaware. I just couldn't look at it. It was so painful to look at all the losses, and it was all in one night. I made the trade. Maybe it was about 11 o'clock at night, and by like 12:30, it was gone. And I'm just like, after saving my whole life, I'm like, what the fuck, And I was just like, what do you do when your whole personality is built around saving money, being a stock investor? People came to me for stock advice. I read all the books. I was the stock guy back then. I was like, not for any money, just for free. That was my thing. I read, Went Up on Wall Street, all of Peter Lynch's books. That was my thing. Conservative, Richest Man in Babylon, The Wealthy Barber, all the books. And I did them. I was the guy who did them. So, and so kind of like Trevor, like you're the guy who puts things. I was the guy with investments. And when I lost it, I couldn't deal with it. It was just like I couldn't look at investments. It was just too painful. So like it's taken a long time to deal with that and kind of like come to grips with that and invest again. I bought stock again not long ago for the first time since 1999 because it's been 23 years. I just couldn't do it. I just could not fucking do it. And it hurt me. But if I would have just had someone to talk to, if I would have known how to deal with it, like if I would have come to a summit back then, I could have talked about it and somebody would have said, here's this, here's that. But, from my perspective, I didn't know how to deal with it. But I did know how to move on, and I did. And I made more money after that. But the hole from that and the stopping me from investing for the future, that was pretty long term. I just couldn't. It brought up the feelings, So the thing is that sometimes it can be quite difficult. But I really think now that if I would have had just somebody that I could have, that's probably why I do this stuff. Because if I could verbalize it back then, somebody would have related to me. Somebody else wouldn't have. They'd have said, "Oh, I lost a lot of money, but this and that, but you're now making more money." That wasn't it. It was just, it was something else. It was just, it just took the wind out of me, you know. So you know, sometimes you have to learn to deal.
I want to add on to that where it really helped to find your peace. To really find your peace. Like during that time where the family business was closing down, I found peace through spirituality. Started listening to Ram Dass, Alan Watts, Terrence McKenna, Timothy Leary. Not that as much though, but the first three, I'd bless those guys throughout the whole day. Just listening to Dharma talk. Just listening to, you can't go to extremes.
I want to say one thing. You know, when you're listening to this, like guys back home, you know, is the thing is what a lot of guys do is they listen and they say, I did that and it didn't bother me or whatever. But I've had more painful things. I lost $250,000 in a toy company. It didn't bother me at all. See, it's just what hits you. So it depends on where you're at. What are the factors? Even today, I don't quite understand why it was such a hit, but it's like, it's what hits you. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. It's dealing with that. Mm-hmm. You know, because the other thing, you could go through a lot harder stuff, like on paper. Doesn't mean it affects you, right? It's the stuff that hits you. That stuff takes you down, and that stuff is so confusing. You know what I mean? And then people will like either run away, or they'll say, "Well, I did, you know, worse," or they. But you got to get into the details. Like I want to get into the details now that I think about it, of why I felt that way about that time. You know, but I think once I get into it, I'll be able to figure it out. You know, and there's a way to get over everything. It's just. It's like so hard when you get stuck as a guy. We don't have a lot of people to talk to. There's not a lot of things. Like I would talk to people and I would tell them how much money I'd saved because I wasn't making that much, but I had saved every fucking penny. You know, I just saved money. That's all I did. I just fucking ate rice that was like, had fucking bugs in it. I saved money, cans of tuna. Fucking, I just saved as much money. Everything, I gritted it out. And then I lost it, right? You know, and so like, it was tough. It was tough. So whatever it is that's tough for you in your life, that's the thing. That's what you have to, when you're thinking about listening, like, don't think about the specific. Is what is the thing that took you down? So it could be a girl, or it could be, you could be supposedly a MGTOW guy, but a girl's taking you down and you're still fucked up, right?
I think that's why for guys it's divorce, right? Divorce is like, that's what I was trying to. So I'm the same story as Scott. I think I lost 3 houses in 08, 07, 08. I lost all my money in 01. So I went to Silicon Valley in 96. I did 3 startups, and then everything was looking amazing. Remember 99, 01? It was like, wow! We were like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Yeah. Boom! And then you're back to zero, right? And then 08, okay, now I gotta save. So I bought 1 house, flipped it in 07. I had four houses in Scottsdale. Boom! And then back to zero. and then you know, fucking around in Silicon Valley. Then 2 kids, save money, and then divorce. Boom, back to zero. But then a year after that, lose 2 fingers, right? But out of everything, the divorce is the hardest.
Right. What it was for you? Yeah. In
For me,
that time, right? The next one you might enjoy. No.
But I'm saying, like, money is not as when you learn that, then it's like.
And then, well, that's all for me right now. I'm signing out. I'm gonna bring our next guy on, King Snake. He's been here. Last guy here. Again. Let's bring him on.
Thank you. All right, so this is King Snake. A little bit about me. This is the first summit I've been to. I've been a long time watcher of Ronin's videos. I'd say what brought me down here was the fact that out of all the people that I've watched on YouTube, all the books that I've read, what I really appreciate about Ronin and I think anyone listening to this can also appreciate, is that his thought process is something that he actively describes. So he won't just say, do this, do that. He'll talk through the reason why he thinks something's happening or why he thinks you should do something. And he's also not afraid to change his mind. He'll have videos where you'll go back and he'll say, you know, I used to think this, but actually I was wrong and I see things this way now. And I respect that a lot. Some people, they think you can never be wrong and you'll be believed as long as you double down and you stick with the BS that you've been telling people. But someone who's willing to say, no, actually, you know, I've grown from that and here's another point of view, is really something special. And it's something that my inner monologue, Ronan's voice resonates a lot with that. It's the things that I think, the things that I see. I don't see a lot of people that are willing to talk about that the way that I hear it in my head. And so that's why I'm here. So a bit about my childhood. I had a bit of a unconventional childhood. I had basically no social interaction outside of my family until 16. And when I say almost no, I mean my social interaction was seeing people when I went to the grocery store with my dad. That was all. And so I had a pretty bad start as far as people. My mom was stay at home. I had some sisters, and so it was just women in the house. Dad was always at work. He loved work, would much rather be at work than spend any time with me. And so I kind of grew up in an environment where anything that I wanted to do that was male-oriented was very much frowned upon and very much shamed because no one else wanted to do that shit. It was like, no, you play with your little doll things with your sisters or whatever, so you do what they want to do. No, you can't have friends. You can't talk to other people. Like, you can't go outside and talk to the neighbors. And part of the reason for that is my father is high-functioning autistic. And so he's very good at what he does, but he's not very good with people at all. And for him, he does not understand the importance of social relationships for the average person. And my mother had extreme anxiety and some depression issues. A lot of times she would just lay in bed for most of the day. You know, she would do stuff for us. She would cook. You know, she did what she needed to do as a mother, but she was not someone who was going out and doing any sort of self-development or just very a laid-back person, very private person. So, you know, I'm growing up under these two people who are very, very controlling, very helicopter parent, and you know, it's like, why don't you appreciate what we're doing for you? You know, this is what we would have wanted, you know, to be homeschooled, not have to interact, like, because you would have been bullied or something, or you would have been the bully. I heard it both ways. And so it's like, we've done so much. And, you know, the worst tyranny is when someone's doing something that they're doing it because they love you. And they're like, oh, yeah, I love you so much. That's why I'm doing this. And it's just destroying you. But, you know, you tell them that and they don't care. Like, they don't believe it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're just a kid. What do you know? And so homeschooled through high school. In high school, I started doing some dual enrollment at a local community college and kind of started to learn some basic things like how to dress in a decent professional manner and how to talk to people, which I'm still not very good at. But I mean, I went from like I could not talk to people, extreme anxiety, to, you know, I could kind of hold a conversation about specific topics I was interested in. And so from there, you know, I was always told after that, my dad didn't believe much in me because he thought that basically I was lazy or I was stupid and I wasn't living up to my potential. He'd never miss an opportunity to tell me that I wasn't living up to my potential, as if that was going to make me achieve more. So very much negative reinforcement all the way, not much positive that I remember. And so I was always told, you know, he wasn't going to pay for my education after, you know, the community college stuff. He was like, not one red cent. He'd always say, not one red cent, because he believed I'd make nothing of it. And so I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was just kind of thinking, you know, hey, maybe military. You know, I don't know how well I'd do in that. You know, maybe just join the workforce and, you know, get something entry level and go from there. And then months before, all of a sudden, he's just like, oh, and by the way, I was just kidding. Like, I'll pay for it. I just always told you that because I thought it'd motivate you. It's like, all it did was make me think that wasn't an option. It didn't help. Yeah, it's kind of fucked. But so anyway, I chose a major, a STEM major that's not engineering, but engineering related, very heavily related to engineering. And I went into that, and I did pretty well in that. I graduated. I had some credits from community college that transferred in, and so I graduated in 5 semesters, I think. Got a BS degree, magna cum laude in a STEM discipline. So it was all right, though I was kicking myself for that even, because I always thought that what I was supposed to do was get a master's in chemical engineering, and I didn't do that. So even the achievement that I did have was kind of, I couldn't accept it, because I knew that my parents would kind of look at that as lesser. That's what they always told me. And now they say, oh, it's fine, whatever you want to do. And I get that. That's something that I'm still working through. I have a lot of insecurity about choosing something that could be seen as easier, because I was always told I should do the hardest thing that I can possibly do, which I can understand that perspective, but I think if you have skills in one area, then it's sometimes good to just go with that rather than trying to pound a square peg into a round hole. So through college, I started martial arts in college, did judo and taekwondo, really enjoyed that. I was struggling a lot with depression during the time too, because I was out on my own and I was enjoying the freedom, but I also didn't know how to create lasting friendships. I'd talk to people that were in class, I'd talk to people in martial arts, but I couldn't really have anyone to talk to about general things, if that makes sense. Like, there was no one who just wanted to talk about life or goals or dreams or, just what's going on. It was very specific to the place I was at. Like, I knew those people, I could talk to them about this thing, but they didn't really want to know anything more about me, and they kind of felt uncomfortable with anything beyond that, right? I didn't know how to develop those deeper relationships. So through college, I graduated college when the whole pandemic was kicking off, and so that was suboptimal, because normally with my major, there's a lot of people that have multiple job offers before, because it's highly desired. There's a lot of people in my major that went on to form businesses in the area where I went to college, and so they would immediately try to hire people from that major upon graduation, because they knew how useful it was in specific roles. And I had a good internship. I did well at that. I had recommendations, and it didn't get me anywhere, because when I graduated, no one was hiring. Everyone was firing. They wanted people out, and the people they wanted back in, they wanted guys who had 10 years of experience in anything that could do 3 people's jobs, because they just let 3 people go and realized, oh, we need someone. Basically, no entry-level opportunities at the places that I was interested in. And so during that time, my dad decided to move basically back to the middle of nowhere and do some farming. And he was extremely fearful of the COVID, of the whole pandemic situation. And he convinced me somehow that I should be back there with them and I should help them out with farming stuff. And part of my thinking was, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? Because, there's farming, it's something that I did. I helped my uncle out on the farm. My grandfather farms too. I've been back there. I know it's hard work, but it's something that I could do, and it's something that it's for the family, right? So I don't really mind that. It's like building the family business, and I'm working on that. So I went back there. The only issue was that the COVID fearfulness had escalated into like a full-blown mental. There were issues, when someone has such a profound like mental fear that it changes their face, where it's like their eyes are bugging out all the time, and like their skin is drooping on their face, and they're like scared of everything, it's like all fear. It was very difficult to deal with that, because I'm not a naturally fearful person. When it comes to fight or flight, I'm a fight guy. I've always been a fight guy. And so to me, when that sort of thing comes up, it's very mentally stressful to have someone that it's only fear. It's nothing else. It's not a useful response. It's like, you can be afraid all you want, but life happens. It's like, if this doesn't get you, something will, so why worry about it that much? So to give you an idea, it's like, he didn't go to the grocery store for a year. He just bought bulk food because he thought the food was all contaminated with COVID. And he would stand 30 feet away from people with masks on outside and yell at them, because apparently the COVID could travel 25 feet. And it was very, it was a gaslighting experience, because so here's the thing. He's a medical professional. He's a physician. And so everyone in the family was like, well, he knows. But the thing is, I know this isn't normal. Like, this is not normal human psychology, right? And so I was, because I was coming from college, right, and I had outside contacts. They were very afraid of me bringing in COVID, even though I had no symptoms. Like, you could be asymptomatic for months and we wouldn't know. It's like no one knows anything. And I was like, okay, whatever. So he got this camper and put it like outside the farmhouse. And so I was living in the camper, right? And so the issue was, this is the middle of nowhere Midwest. And rodents got in that almost immediately because it was the only safe place for rodents. And whenever anyone did something out in the field, the rodents would rush to any place of refuge. And so there'd be mice and stuff in there, and there were a lot of mice droppings, and you couldn't really keep up with the cleaning because you'd be catching mice in the traps all the time. They'd be pooping all over clothing and everything. And so I got very sick with unknown illness, unsurprisingly. The issue. Yeah. So I was there, and sorry, what did you say again? To your family, and then all of a sudden you're sick. Now you're further isolated. Oh, of course. And they would like fill up my water bottle, and they'd bring it back. I'm like, what is this? Because they like Cloroxed everything, and the whole thing tastes like bleach. It's like, take that shit out of here. It's like, why? Just give me water. Stop bleaching my stuff. And at one point, I ordered something online that was like cloth. It was a canteen carrier. So it was a carrier for a canteen. This motherfucker, he took this. And looking at this is like a normal person would say, if you wanted to make sure there's no germs on something, like if you're that afraid of getting germs from something that's cloth, it's like, wash it with soap and water, He put it in the oven. I get that shit, it's like a potato chip. I'm like, well, why? Talk about an overreaction. But anyway, so the issue was not the virus that I had itself. I developed a very rare syndrome after having the virus. And the syndrome basically affected whenever I would stand up or maintain any sort of elevated position, my heart rate would skyrocket. And I would begin to lose consciousness, and I'd need to sit back down. And that is putting it very, very simply. I had extreme issues with digestion. I developed a bunch of food intolerances. I could barely eat anything. There were times where all I could eat in a day was a single spoonful of honey. That was what I could keep down and not have extreme diarrhea or vomiting or anything like that. And all this while, I had the dream of being a great martial artist, essentially. That was what I wanted to do with my life. And that was all gone. And so I struggled with this post-illness syndrome for probably 6 to 9 months. And I kind of lost track of time because it was just day after day of just keeping alive. It's like, I'm just going to try to survive today. And I lost a lot of weight. I'm a tall guy. I'm over 6 feet. And at one point, I was all the way down to 128 pounds, and I was pretty much a skeleton, and still was having issues, and 1 foot in the grave. And I thought that was it, And I was kind of okay with that because even as a child, I didn't really fear death. And even when it was imminent, it was like, I understand everyone has to go at some point, but I really wanted to do a bit more. It kind of sucks when it's like you're just starting, and it's like, oh, now I might die.
It sounds you're very opposite of your parents. Your parents are so fearful from dying. They control everything. You're like a complete 180.
Well, that's what they say. You rebel against your parents. So I guess that's that's part of that. Well, my dad he'd make fun of me. He'd be every time I'd say something where it's like, this seems like a bit of an overreaction. He'd be like, oh, you're so brave, like in a condescending sense. It's like, it's not, you have to not be fearful of everything to live any sort of life. Anything you do, you do martial arts, you have to accept the risk that you could be seriously injured. You have to accept you could tear an ACL and it could never heal the same. Or like you could destroy the cartilage in a knee and you could never be able to run without pain. There's a lot of things where there's always a trade-off. So if you want something, you have to accept that you might lose something. There's no only win. There's nothing you can do that's 100% safe that's going to enhance your life substantially. Oh, yeah, especially if it's going to be fun. So I struggled with hell for 6 to 9 months of seeing various specialists and them telling me I have a syndrome, not a virus, because basically they said, well, whatever you had is not active anymore. You're basically suffering the after effects of something that you probably should have died from. And so I'm like, well, how do you deal with that? They gave this list of medications, and it was stuff that treated symptoms. They said, we can do this to like make your leg muscles tighten so you have more blood to work with in your torso, so maybe it reduces the symptoms. Like, we can give you these steroids that they're going to have really bad long-term negative effects, but they can help you out. Like, you can take one every once in a while and it can make you have a better day than you're having. You can maybe do something. Like, dude, that shit is not going to work. That's no life for me. And so I just kind of got back doing what little I could do. Any time that I felt like I could get up and move, I'd get up and move. Anytime I felt like I could eat more, I would eat more. And the symptoms gradually subsided, and I was able to get on the treadmill and walk a little bit. Of course, I had no endurance, no muscle, no lung capacity, anything after, like 9 months of laying on the ground, not being able to stand up. I can stand up for a few seconds and then it's back down. So you can imagine the atrophy in my leg muscles and everything. And so eventually I kind of got back a little bit, and I got back. I was having a lot of brain fog as a symptom too, so a lot of stuff that the way I was perceiving things, it made me question myself, because I had very, very severe brain fog while I was sick with this. And for months and months and months, it was like, am I crazy, or is this happening? There's a lot of, I couldn't trust myself because I wasn't thinking right. And when the brain fog cleared, things became much more clear, because there's like, okay, I'm basically a skeleton. I'm a shell of a body, right? But as long as I can think straight, it's like I can do something, right? And so I got back and started exercising a little bit, did what little I could, started eating more, put some more pounds on, gained about 20 pounds total from then until now. Got back, not quite back to where I was in college, but definitely got back to a point where I'm not in imminent danger of my body failing. And made it through that, and was looking for jobs, got a job away from my folks, and moved out and moved in with some roommates, rented a house, and went to work. And I was able to do it, and it brought me so much joy just to be able to do something, just to be able to go out and do a job and have an achievement, be able to do something with my hands and with my mind that I hadn't been able to do for so long. It was great. The only issue was when I was back on the weekends and I'm at my place, I pretty much just stared at a wall because the depression didn't go away. The issue was, when I was doing something, I could forget that how much had been taken away from me. And when I wasn't, all I was thinking about is, here's all the things that I wanted. I'll never be able to do them. It's like that ego death thing where it's like, yeah, I'm recovering now, but what does it matter that, I can go to work and do these basic things? I'll never be great. You know what I mean? I'll never be competitive. I won't be relevant. And that's still something that I'm struggling with. So that's what I would have been doing if I wasn't down here at Summit. I'd just be staring at a wall right now. But long story short, I decided to come down here, and one quote that really resonated with me, I'm big into Stoic philosophy. I enjoy Stoic philosophy a lot. It's something that I can really understand where those people were coming from. They say, Marcus Aurelius said something along the lines of, you're already dead, your life is over, now take what's left and live it properly. And to me, when I almost died, I realized that I kind of feel like I should have died, and anything that happens afterwards is just a bonus, and I'm not really concerned about it that much. So I was like, well, why not? Like, why not come down? Why not do a summit? Why not come down and just see what I can get out of it, and try to build some sort of network that will support me, and not just have me sitting staring at a wall, because like there's stuff I can't talk about with anyone else because they're blue pill as fuck, and in everything, not just women, but in life, like blue pill in life. And don't want anything. They're not hungry. They don't have an appetite for life. They don't want anything, really. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to learn from Ronan and learn from the guys, and hopefully make some changes, hopefully build my body back better, and hopefully get back into the martial arts if I can, and also have a group of people that I can rest on a little bit if I need some help, or if I'm struggling, or if I need some advice. Reach out to some guys that have also had these same sort of troubles, and talk to them, because you may not have had an illness, a chronic illness for 9 months, but a struggle is a struggle. A lot of you guys know what it's like to go through something and not have anyone you can talk to about it. And yeah, it's kind of, I'm not a very, I don't like to talk about myself or talk about my emotions a lot. I've never been that sort of person, mostly because if I ever did, it was shamed and put down as like, oh, boo-hoo you, who cares about that? You know, so yeah, I'm just trying to get out there more and see what I can see and do what I can do. That's all I got.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you. All right, we're going to close the meeting. Thank you very much for being here, yeah? All you guys. All right, let's get some fucking food or something. You want to? Okay.
Yeah, I know that, guys, this is like a record-breaking recording. We're at like 3 hours and 30 minutes. Like, I know we're all ready for food. We got a bunch of food. We stocked up at that Mexican place right before here. But seriously, like, I just wanted to reach out to King Snake. Like, you know, some of us don't have, like, some situations in common. Like for example, Kenji lost his fingers. I think everybody else has theirs by show of hands. But yeah, I had MS, or I still have MS. It seems unbelievable. Sometimes I forget that I have it. I will say that there's like an unbelievable burden to like carrying even the smallest burden, even when you're in the weakest state. I almost succumbed to it twice. I really came back. I bounced back because of stem cell surgery. So let's talk, you know, seriously, it's a long recording, but, seriously, thank you all for like volunteering everything that you did. It's like the start of your story, where you are now. Tomorrow we're going to be discussing like the evolution and where you're going from here. You may not know like, where you're going. Like you might not have an idea, you know, King Snake kind of like left off on that. But like hearing from everybody else, like you said, will get you there. And, I don't know. It's like the process of talking, right? It's easier to start off. Like if you're one of the first guys to go, like this is a really long wait for people who are ending. And like it could be confusing and stuff like that when you hear other people and then you kind of change your idea of what you were going to say. So really shout out to everybody who went last or went very late, you know, past the 2 hour mark. Holy crap, never been done before. But seriously, also special shout out to Jay because he just, you know, like we talked about this, like, you know, like holding on to stuff is like a burden, like we were just talking about. And like when you're weak, it just hurts you. So like sometimes going quick really alleviates that burden and you'll probably feel a lot better. So like I definitely encourage you guys, maybe like listen to my evolution talk and then maybe, I don't know, figure it out. We'll talk in between talks and whatever you need. But seriously, Jay, you told me yesterday and that you were very reluctant to like swing your sword, you know, like to take that first step, to take that leap. And I told you like you'll know when you're making progress when you have two swords in each hand and you swing them both over your head with no protection and you're just going full on into it. And I just want to congratulate you for doing that today. Oh yeah. You really did it.
Thank you.